You're muted, Ellie.
Sorry, I was
There we go.
muted.
That's okay. All right, we're
Um,
recording.
okay, cool. Yeah. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good.
How are you
Um,
doing today?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, my mind feels really blank, not in the not necessarily in like the peaceful way, just in the sort of um just feeling kind of directionless, I guess, today, and not able to really focus on anything, but I don't feel bad. I don't feel um I'm just accepting it, I guess, that that was how my day went today and not too worried about it. But yeah, I'm not feeling like I don't know if you saw my messages on WhatsApp, but
I haven't I haven't had a moment because I have been dealing with WSIB.
yeah,
They made me go to work today. I had to deal with the phone company. I've had a lot going on today. I have done no practices of any kind. I haven't even been able to go on WhatsApp to look at anything. I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything today other than just deal with life stuff.
well, I haven't done anything today, including dealing with life stuff. So I
And there,
took a break from life stuff today. And yeah.
I did notice that when I came home, I was also like when I came home from work today, I was also trying to figure out how to download stuff because this is all new to me, right? And I
Yeah.
am so technically challenged, it's not funny. So I was in the Zoom trying to figure out how to, download recording. It took a while. I might have duplicates of everything all over the place and I don't even know where. And I think I figured that out. Now I got to
Okay.
figure out how to upload it because I can't find that I don't know how to do that.
On
Um,
YouTube?
yeah, and I was trying to figure out how to do that, but it didn't work. And then I had to leave for physio. I literally just walked into the door. And again, I noticed like before I went and before when I came home, it was like I felt so behind. It's like I haven't meditated, I haven't done any of my practices, I haven't looked at like anything. And it was like, okay, you're aware that you feel behind. You're aware that you feel like you haven't done the things that you wanted to do or, that should have feeling.
Yes.
And it's like, there just has to be an acceptance that that's just how it happened today and that it actually doesn't mean anything because actually
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get anywhere. And then there
Yes.
was that thought that crept in was like, oh, but you're doing so good. You were like this many days in, and you were trying to be consistent again. And there might be that failure again because of today. But you know what? There's just a seeing of all that
Yeah.
mental activity, and it really doesn't mean nothing. And
Right.
when
Exactly.
I get off this call, whatever gets done will get done.
That's right.
And whatever don't, it's just going to have to be noticing what the mind chatter is about it and not a letting it go, but just well, this is just how everything showed up today, and that's perfectly okay. And
Yeah.
you know what else I noticed? I'm going to tell you something I did notice. I noticed today when I logged on this morning, because uh, Elaine had a meditation sangha this morning, and I thought, ooh, I can at least do the meditation sangha and with Elaine and the group. And I logged on, we were on there. I was just starting the meditation, probably not even 5 minutes in, well, maybe 5 minutes in. And I noticed that because I was doing all kinds of stuff, and I noticed the mind was like, you know, kind of active. And internally, I just said, it's okay, mind. We're here right now, and this is our focus. There was just like this gentle, like
Yeah.
telling the mind that it's okay to, because it was trying to figure stuff out, right? Because I was dealing with WSIB and all that stuff. And it was like, right now, this is our focus. None of that other stuff really matters right now.
Yeah.
We're just going to concentrate on being present for meditation. And you know what happened?
Hmm.
The mind actually really like settled. That's the first time
Nice.
that's ever happened where I just actually talked to the mind for a second. It's like, just, it's
Yeah.
okay. Like, you can just let that go for now. This is where we are. Let's just focus here. Almost like giving it a job
Mm.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, and it did. It actually, I did notice that it did calm. And then the phone rang. And that was the phone company because I did register a business phone number and she was helping me activate the SIM card and all that stuff. So I actually had to leave the meditation,
Hmm.
about 5 or 10 minutes in. And there was some mental chatter about that. It's like, really?
Yeah.
But it's like, I have to make this phone call. Like, this is important. Not that meditation wasn't important, but I actually had to, you know, take care of this phone call. So it was like, just again, just seeing that there was mind chatter about leaving the meditation. And that's really all we can do, right? Is just see. There's nobody doing
Yeah.
anything here.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, it sinks in more and more that that's the case, and it does allow us to be more accepting, and it sort of does, it makes it so that there is less energy going into any kind of internal conflict, because if there is no doer, um then any of I mean, all of the mind stories are rooted in that belief, right? In being a doer. And so, um, I think that's why, like, I had a day to day, which I don't do that often, haven't done in, like, I've been doing well too, where it's like there's been a momentum toward getting up in the morning and feeling good about the day, even if there's nothing particular going on. And today it was a little different because there was just this feeling of like, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't want to concentrate on anything. I didn't feel bad though. It wasn't like there was a lot of emotions coming up or anything. There was just a sense of feeling lazy maybe, or just not having as much energy. Um, Lazy is kind of a pejorative word, I guess. I won't use that word, but it was sort of yeah, just not having a ton of physical energy. And even when I did do the the Unity and Oneness Challenge and the Conscious Imagining Challenge, it was like, um yeah, I didn't feel as inspired as I've been feeling,
Hmm.
so it was just sort of and like with the conscious imagining challenge, I did it a little different today because I was actually struggling with being able to visualize anything.
Yeah.
And it was just almost like it was hard to even go there. So, so yeah, but it's like what you're saying, there's a sense of, well, that's just how today went. Um, there doesn't need to be a story around it. There doesn't need to be, yeah, and it is interesting. I do have to say it does feel like a really good sign that I mean, this is the type of thing that there was a lot of self-judgment around, like
Hmm.
intense self-judgment around. And so to have that not come up, to not have any kind of like emotions or stories or anything like that, to just have it, yeah, to have there be just like a greater acceptance around it. And yeah, it does feel like that energetic pathway, which was really well worn, it kind of always went straight to that, straight to self-judgment, straight
Yeah.
to that feeling of um being a person who is failing, basically. And it's like, okay, well, that actually has been seen over and over again to not be true. If we're not separate people, then that kind of story just doesn't, like even when it was seen clearly that there's no separation, that was still sort of an unconscious um belief, I guess, of having failed, of failing. And yeah, it just isn't being believed in the same way. So
I even noticed, okay, first of all, I'm noticing that, and I have been noticing for for a little while now, actually, and it's becoming more and more apparent with each day that before, if there was a lot going on, I would feel a little bit overwhelmed, right? Like time was
yeah,
getting away from me or something like that, right? Or I'd be rushing one thing to get to the next thing, right? And I'm noticing that there is a lot more ease.
yeah,
There's less rushing. Things are getting done. There's not even a rushing while I'm getting things done like there used to be. And yet things seem to be getting done with more ease and maybe more is getting done. I'm starting to notice that. And then sometimes at the end of the day, it's like, how did that even happen?
mm,
And it just kind of like flowed, like a river
yeah,
almost,
that's good.
effortlessly.
Yeah, that's
And
really good.
so I've noticed that that's been going on. And I've noticed that there is a lot more peace.
Yeah,
Even when, so I'll use yesterday as an example. So I got a call from my WSIB worker. I went to work the one day. It didn't go so well last week, right? I wasn't able to receive treatments. Went and seen the doctor on Friday. He said, absolutely not going to work. Like, I didn't even approve this plan, kind of thing. Like, I wasn't even involved in this. So, like, no, this is counterintuitive to what, if you can't receive your treatments, that's what's going to get you back to work full time. So he says, no, I don't want you going into work today because I was supposed to go after him. And he goes, and I'm writing you off. He goes, you're close, but you're not there yet, not even for modified duties. So Friday I called WSIB. They didn't answer the phone, so I left messages with my actual caseworker and with my return to work specialist, right? Told him what was going on. And then yesterday I got a phone call from my case worker. And she's usually pretty pleasant, right? And yesterday she was kind of short and agitated. She sounded agitated. And when I got off the call, I thought this is because I've missed Friday and Monday, right? Because I didn't go Monday either. And I figured that's why she's short and seems agitated because I didn't follow the plan, right?
Mm,
I've missed 2 days now. And she was like kind of cutting me off when I was trying to tell her what the doctor said, and she just wasn't, it seemed like she wasn't really listening to what I was saying and or understanding it. And basically the conversation went like, well, you're expected to go to work tomorrow and follow the plan regardless of what your doctor is saying. And you're expected to go on Friday for both shifts for the 2 hours that you're supposed to be there. And basically, if you don't go, you're not going to get paid,
mm,
right? So, in that conversation, normally I would have gotten really uppity, like
mm,
really defensive. And I did notice during the call that there was a sense of agitation in the body. And there was, you could tell in the tone, my tone, right, that there was a slight agitation. However, there was no getting really defensive. There was no like really pushing the issue. There was just a knowing that this is not going to get anywhere. And basically, all I can do is do my best, right? And um, and after the fact, like after the call, I had an appointment with Elaine to do meditation one on one.
mhm,
And considering what had just happened, normally there would have been a lot going on in the system. And compared to what it would have been before, it was quite mild.
mm,
Um, so that was noticed.
yeah.
And there was also this acceptance because I even said it to my daughter when I was telling her about it, right? Um, she wanted me to do something when I can't because I actually have to go to work. And she goes, "Well, I thought your doctor said you can't go to work." I went, "That's that's null and void at this point." Right? And then she was making comments about it, and it was like I recall saying, "Well, this is just how it is right now. This is how things are showing up." And there was like this, even though there's like a slight agitation, there was also like this natural acceptance of, well, this is how life is showing up right now. And I can either
Mhm.
really be uppity about it and defensive about it and be bitching about it, or just accept this is how life is showing up and just do my best. Right. And I did call work. Like there was a suggestion that was made by me about, maybe working in a different room. And that was complied with today. It did help. Other things were an issue, but that wasn't. And then I came home today and my actual return to work specialist called me back today. And then things changed. And he had said that he had already got a hold of my worker and told her that things were going to have to be changed so that I didn't have to worry about that. And that tomorrow I'm not to go to work. And for the next 2 weeks, just go for 2 days, spread out
Okay.
for the 2 hours. So actually, things did work out. And then
Nice.
when I seen the physio person today, and she saw the state of my arm, which was worse than the last time. Um, without anything, she just said, I'm going to have to get a hold of your worker either today or tomorrow because we need to discuss this. Right. So, like, things are working themselves out.
Mm.
And I can see that things are working themselves out. So, there's like this acceptance that would have been there would have been a whole lot more mind going on trying to fix and
Yeah, for
figure out
sure.
and how to manipulate the situation kind of thing. You know what, like, you know what I mean? Like, you like the story, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and then things will work out like this, right? There's very, very minimal of that going on. And when it does start, it's noticed
Mm.
that the mind is trying to fix or figure something out about the situation. And it doesn't really go much further. So there's a lot more peace, I guess, around even something that seems to be like it would have been more of a problem for the mind.
Mm.
Even a month ago, right? So there's like this
Yeah.
settling down or something, or this acceptance that's just naturally starting to happen. And while I was at work today too, um, I was also listening to a podcast because I can do that, right? And of Helen's. And I think we've discussed this before, where I said that it feels like the high beams are on. So
Yeah.
when I'm looking, and we're just using language here because there's no outside. When I'm looking at the environment now, there seems to be this spaciousness, which has been going on for some time, because we've talked about this high beam kind of situation. But since that last time me and you were talking, when I said things were losing their tangibility,
Hmm.
something has shifted since then because when I look at things now, it's like the high beams have gotten more intense because I'm noticing the stillness in things. It's like
Mm.
that's gotten heightened. And today when I was at work, I was looking at around in the lunchroom that I was in, and I noticed I was looking at the table ahead of like the other table ahead of me. And when I was looking at the table, there was such a heightened state of spaciousness, and I noticed the stillness of the table. And I've been noticing things like that even in the apartment, like looking at even the shelf over there or just things that you wouldn't think are alive, unlike the plants, right? Like
Mm.
actual objects. And I'm noticing that when I'm looking at them, there is a quieting of the mind and the widening of the high beams is still there, but there's this heightened sense of stillness of the essence that is really starting to come through. And I'm wondering if this unity and oneness of things is starting to blossom.
Mm.
Yeah, because it's almost like I can't shut it off. It doesn't go away anymore. Like I don't have to focus or sit
Mm.
still and like there's just a noticing it's there all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so again, it's bringing more peace, and there's less mental activity It's almost, you know, when we were kids and you used to daydream,
Mm,
just didn't know where you went for a little while.
yeah.
It's kind of like that kind of feeling, except for I'm conscious. I'm not going, oh, I just went away for a little while. You know, like we used to do in school sometimes, like you weren't really interested in what they were having to say, so you were like looking out the window and we kind of lost track of time. It's it's kind of that same sort of feeling, except for it's conscious. I'm not losing track of time. I'm not disappearing. Like I'm
Mm,
very aware of the space that I'm in.
yeah.
So something's going on. Something has really penetrated deeper. And even like after you shared yesterday in the group, I'm so
Mhm.
proud of you, by the way.
Oh, thank
I
you.
can't even. I wanted to tell you so much in the group. I went, no, this is not the place for it. But just the fact that you even in the dissolving the ego intensive that we're doing, I noticed
Yeah.
when you logged on that you did not have your camera off.
Mm.
And I went, oh my gosh, she doesn't have her camera off. She always has her camera off. And there she is in her beautiful blue shirt just glowing away. Because you are
Yeah,
glowy lately. Even now you're glowy. There's something glowy about you. Like you're glowing a little bit. And I think I even told you yesterday in the group, like there's something about your beingness that is shining through you now. And 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 the sharing, like you're sharing in the group. And this is all like new
I love
behavior
that group.
coming from you. And it's like I am so proud of you because I have literally just in the few months that we have known each other, I I am literally watching you blossom in front of my eyes. I really am. And I don't know if you really know because it's you, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like the changes that I have seen, that I am seeing, that I am seeing currently. And even like even in the way that you're holding yourself, like I don't know if you're consciously aware that even how you're holding your body is different.
No,
There's
I'm not.
something that's changing here and I can see
Yeah.
it. I can see it because I'm watching this happen in front of my eyeballs. Um,
No, I appreciate you saying that because yeah, I don't know. I know things are shifting. I do feel less fear. That was something that's been very inhibiting over the last few years. It wasn't always that way, but there was a period of the last several years where, um, yeah, just difficult to interact with others and um, to function normally. That was one of the things that was very frustrating and very confusing, because it was like spiritual awakening, like I like it was hard to understand what was going on for a long time because life was more difficult and more disorienting than I knew what to do with. And it does feel like in the last couple of months there has been much more of a sense of um yeah, that. that whatever that was, whatever um the sense that I had of life being unmanageable and not being able to function, like that has been so, 'cause it's like we started out talking about, like once it becomes clear that there is no doer, when that starts to dissolve, then any stories attached to that also have to dissolve. And um yeah, I don't find myself feeling as weighed down by the stories, I guess.
Mhm. I've even noticed like your share yesterday, that was a pretty good share. Like in the group, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? Like just your awareness of yourself now is you can tell that is it's really starting to take hold. It's really starting to like come into the foreground. Um, Even like in your recent messages, like in the unity, the oneness and unity
Mm,
challenge, like listening to your recordings, like there is definitely a, even in your contemplations, like you can tell just how you're speaking, you know,
mm.
in your shares that something is really, really starting to take root. Um,
I
like
appreciate you
I'm not
saying
sure
that.
these are seedlings anymore. Like I'm really starting
Yeah,
to feel like things are really starting to take root. And
yeah. It is interesting though, because if you listen to my message today, it's yeah, it does feel different. Like today, if it just felt like confusion was creeping back in again. I didn't was having trouble even finding words, and I didn't feel very present. Um, but like the interesting thing about that is it's similar to what you were saying earlier. There's just a sense of like, well, this is how life is showing up right now. It still doesn't um like it's almost like the mind doesn't have the same ability to generate stories about it, it's like can't get off the ground in the same way.
so
So
then
even
wouldn't you
though
say
it's
that's still present? Like when you say that, because if the mind's not able to run off with you the way it was and there's less mental activity, then isn't this what Helen and the other teachers talk
yeah,
about? That when challenges start coming up or unpreferred things start coming up,
yeah,
that there's a handling them or a approach that is completely different than before. Like, because that's what I'm
yeah,
seeing. Even as you're talking about what transpired today, what I'm seeing in you even
yeah,
now is different. Like your body language is different. You're very calm about it. There's not a lot of
yeah, I'm
judgment talk
noticing that
about it.
about you as well. That's the thing. It's yeah, it's that steadiness, it's like there can be th like thoughts arising. Um, like I'm sure there were points today that you did notice thoughts that were like, what's going on? Whatever. I don't know. But what you're saying and the way you're describing it, like it's clear to me that it was handled with calmness and equanimity, that
Yeah.
um and yeah, I mean that's a good sign. It's a really good sign. Um, because it's it's one of the indicators that that there's a deepening, like you're saying that there's an awareness that um it's like a switch over, it's no longer feeling like for example, I noticed there like, there might have been points throughout the day when you noticed a contraction in the body or something, for example. But I'm guessing that, and the way you described it, it sounds like this is the case that there was just a noticing of it. There was like, okay, there's a contraction in the body right now. And it didn't derail your whole day. It didn't create a whole lot of agitation. I mean, even the way you're talking about it now, that's clear. That's the thing is that doesn't happen until there is a real shift, because it's not like we have control over this stuff. It's that we blamed ourselves before when we identified with the contraction and it turned into a whole thing. It's like, why can't I do this? Why am I not get, but now it's become clear that there was never a person who was failing. There was never a person who was not awake enough. Like that whole thing is a fiction, and that's all we're seeing now is um is a contraction in the body, is a contraction in the body. That's it.
Yeah.
Like there doesn't have to be a whole um like there, it's like that Buddhist saying about the second arrow. Have you ever heard that before? The idea of the second arrow. So it's the idea that I don't remember the details of it, but it's something like, something happens in life that's distressing or whatever. It's like the first arrow. It's like getting
Mm,
shot with an arrow, you know, um, which that's enough to deal with, but what we do as human beings is that instantly creates, a feeling of separation or a story of separation or a story of whatever it is, the fiction of being a person, and that's the second arrow,
right.
and so that's the idea. So another thing I've heard as a I've heard spiritual teachers say is the idea that like um pain is a part of human life, but suffering is optional. So that's the second arrow. That's the idea that you don't have to shoot yourself with that second
Yeah.
arrow. You don't have to jump on the suffering train because once you do have a deep enough awareness to see that you're not this person who is suffering, um, and we're never that,
Yeah.
then yeah, it does start to break down,
Yeah.
and um I do have a sense there's just more of a sense of everything happening, just happening, unfolding, and
Mhm.
I'm just watching. And so yeah, there's just like the pressure to fix anything or the pressure to um yeah, it just doesn't happen in the same way,
No.
So
I've
um
noticed, like you're right when you said that, you're saying that there's just a noticing. Like even when I have noticed yesterday after that meeting that there was like this slight agitation in the moment or whatever, and even after, before, there also would have been this commentary about, well, you weren't present enough for that. Like
mm,
you may have noticed, but you didn't sit down and try and figure it out kind of feeling. Like you didn't sit with it. You didn't like, there would have been like something I didn't do that I should have been doing,
like
to
a kind of
make
spiritual
sure,
doing.
yeah, like
Yeah.
make sure that I've really dealt with what was
Yeah.
coming up. And there was none of that. It was like for one little inkling, there was a thought of, did you really, really see it or did you suppress it? And as soon as that started to form, it was like, no, this is not my problem. Like
Yeah,
I saw it. I
not my
seen it and
problem,
I
right?
seeing it is
Yeah,
enough. I saw it when it happened. I don't have to sit down and analyze this to death, which is would have how I would have
yeah,
felt before, right? And there was none of
yeah,
that. Even for one inkling when that started to come, it didn't even get to finish its whole thought process. It
yeah.
was
That's
like,
what's
that's not
interesting.
my
It
problem.
gets
Like I
seen.
saw it. That's enough. And then
Yeah,
even when, again, even when my daughter asked me about it and I was explaining it to her, or I had to explain to my husband what had transpired so he knew, or today when I went to physio and there was a telling her, you know, what had transpired. Before, it might have been this lengthy story, where there would have been a good guy, bad guy situation, right? Like
yeah,
those mean people are making me go back to work, and this is the
yeah,
whole story about how that. Okay, there was none of that. It was more like, even like I'm telling you tonight, more of a point form kind
yeah.
of. And even in doing that, I know there's like a playing out here because we are having a human experience, so things do need to get explained. But there's no whole drawn out story and needing to make people understand or make somebody the bad guy, good
That feels
guy.
huge.
And it was
Yeah.
more like, I'm going to explain this the shortest way I possibly can to get across what needs to be get across. And I'm still aware that this is a story.
Mm, interesting. Yeah,
That's new.
that that feels awesome
And there
to
was
hear you
no
talk about that because
there
I
was
know how
no
much
judgment even
emotional,
about going to work. There was
yeah,
no
wow,
judgment about that. Like even after she said, you have to go to work, da 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 da, like before, and you know it, like there would have been like this boo-hooing and
yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
don't want to, and lots of resistance. And even though it's not the desired outcome,
yeah,
there is and was yesterday that this is just how life is unfolding. And that's not a doing, that's just happening naturally. Like, this is just how life is unfolding. And there was less resistance. Even when I had to go to work today, there was none of that mind chatter of, I don't want to be going, I shouldn't even be going,
wow,
being there, like being like, I don't
wow,
want.
yeah,
There was none of that, none of that. That's all new. That's all very new.
yeah. That feels that feels significant. I feel like it's a really good thing to be talking about it and to be noticing it um because it's like Helen has said before, like celebrating those wins, it's a good thing, even though we know that we are not a phenomenon and no phenomenon can affect us. That has been believed for a really long
Yep.
time. So for that to be shifting, you know, like even though you were never really suffering, there was the feeling of that and the experience of that. And so for that to be diminishing, for suffering to be less, for um like it's just pointing to how much better it is going to get, with the ability to meet life just as it is. Um, it does change the experience of life, even though it doesn't change the noumenon, and
And life is
um
gonna life. It's just how we're meeting it. We're meeting it differently.
yeah, and that changes everything. Yeah, there's the more life can be met, and it's like I was I was thinking about what you were talking about on Sunday, and I just still can't get over this because it was just like the way that you articulated, I can't remember exactly what word you used, but the way that you articulated um there's something here that doesn't want the
So
spaciousness.
back
There's
off. I said something
yeah,
once says back off, like just back off.
yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with your,
Yeah, and
just back off.
the honesty of that and the willingness to, to actually be completely honest about that. That's a very real thing. I have felt that too, where when you're in the thick of a sort of gnarly emotion, it doesn't feel good. And then,
And you
you
can feel the
know,
spaciousness around it still. And it's like, and that's what I was feeling. I was
and
feeling the
there's a
spaciousness
wanting,
around that. It's like,
yeah,
back off. Like
yeah, like I
something
want
wants, yeah, something wants to feel miserable.
something
Like just
wants
back
to
off
be
from me.
contracted. Yeah, something is feeling really identified with this contraction and just
Yeah.
wants to stay there. And
It's like, I don't want your spaciousness right now. Like, back off from me. But you know what? I was even thinking about that yesterday too. And I thought, you know what? Something wanted spaciousness to back off because there was the contraction, there was the spaciousness around it that was noticed. Something wanted to be in that contraction. But at the same time, after the fact, it was like, that's not possible. It's not possible for spaciousness to back off from that
right,
contraction
right,
because that contraction is also spaciousness
exactly.
in the
Yeah,
form of contraction. There's actually no line. See, this is how I know things are shifting. There is actually, I could see there was no line after the fact. I could see
right.
there was no line to spaciousness and the contraction, that they actually are just one, like a tornado. Remember we were talking about that once?
Yeah,
It almost came to me in the form of a tornado where the eye and then there's the clone around the eye, right? And it was like that's kind of like what this was is. There is this
yeah,
spaciousness, right, that was seen, and then there was the I, which would have been the contraction in this case, but they weren't separate from one another. They cannot be outside of each other. They're like so close that they're actually one thing. And I could see that, and that came to me after we were talking, because you mentioned at one point, at some point, what you just said. I think you said it in one of our voice
yeah,
messages. And it was like it hit me when you said that. It was like, and that's when that came to me, and it was like, it's because spaciousness can't back off from itself. It's like when
right.
Rupert says to us, when he said that one time about to one other person, when he was saying, because you can take a step towards me and you can take a step towards anything in the room, but take one step closer to yourself. Can you
Mm,
take one step closer to yourself? And then there was like a pause, and he goes, you can't take a step closer to yourself. It's not possible. And it was like, I heard that, seen the cyclone kind of thing, and it was like, spaciousness can't back off from the contraction because it is the self. It cannot take a step away from the contraction.
yeah,
That something can want that all of it wants. It can want to
right.
feel contracted. It can want to feel justified in, I deserve to feel this way, or I need to feel this way, or but spaciousness, consciousness, whatever you want to use, whatever word, God, whatever, cannot take a step away from the contraction because they are one thing. And the contraction
Mm,
cannot survive without the
mm,
spaciousness that is around it. because
Yeah,
it's not around it, it is it.
it is it. Can I read you something?
Oh, please do. I love it when you do this.
I don't think I've read this. I don't think I have read this to you before. I might have. Did I read you something called I Am Shame?
No. And if
Okay.
you did, I don't remember, so read it anyway because I love it.
If it does sound familiar, you can stop me.
Nope, I'll listen. I love hearing your writing. I
Thank
wish,
you.
I wish I could write stuff like you do. I do, but I guess I am in your form
Yes, correct,
because
right.
I enjoy it when you write it. It's like, oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that. There's been a lot of hesitation about sharing
Mm.
things I write with other people, and so it means a lot to have somebody who seems to.
You say that I have, and many people have said it, even though I don't feel that way. I feel clunky when I speak, but you, therapists, many other people have go, you have such a beautiful way with words, and you like, you're so good at blah, blah, blah. You're the same way when you write, by the way. Like when you write, your articulation and your capacity to write something that is so expressive and
Mm,
so it's whatever you see in me when you say that when you're speaking,
mm,
you're exactly the same way when you're writing. So don't
mm,
ever feel like ashamed of sharing your writing because it is the exact same thing but on paper. I don't think you're
mm.
aware of that.
I thought about, thank you. I really do appreciate that because first of all, I know how honest you are. So I know you don't say things just to say
Mm-mm.
them. And so that always means a lot. I think I might start doing some conscious imagining around writing about imagining not only the words flowing more, but the willingness to share with people and not feeling inhibited and not feeling any fear around it, because it does feel like something like when Helen talks about the desires coming from the self, and that's been a desire my whole life is to be a writer and to share my writing with other people. Um, but there was always something that sort of cut that desire off, because it felt too exposed and it felt there was always
No,
just
that's the beautifulness of it. You have a wonderful way with words on paper. It's just beautiful. I love it whenever you read anything. I bet you'd
thank
be
you.
really, really good at non-duality poetry.
Mm,
I've thought of
yeah,
that before. I haven't said it to you before, but I have thought it. I thought she has such a way with words. I bet because I've read stuff from Walter, his books that he sent me, remember, in the past with
yeah.
you. I bet you could do that with ease.
I feel like there is a desire to do that. There's always been a desire um to be able to express truth, and I've always appreciated it so much in others. It's like so I love poetry and
Mhm.
um I just love writing in general. I love words and the ability they have to convey some kind of truth, even though, of course, they can't convey the deepest truths, they can point to it, and yeah, so I do feel like if there is something that always makes me feel better, that's it. It's to be able to just get words out somehow.
Yeah,
Um, so it does feel like a real there's kind of an anguished history around it, which is interesting because I can feel that starting to break down as far as like writer's block and fear and like abandoning things. Like I wrote a novel at one point and then I just like abandoned it and was like I don't feel
I
inspired
remember.
anymore. And it also just felt so like I didn't have like when you believe you're a person, there can be a lot of like worthiness issues and imposter syndrome and like all that stuff that makes it feel like what and why would anyone be interested in what I have to say, especially if you haven't gotten a lot of encouragement or positive feedback or things like that. You can start to feel um yeah, whatever those stories are that the mind tells about how this is okay for other people, but not for me type of
So
thing,
I'm glad that's starting to fall away from you because you are a really good writer. I love it when you read the stuff that you wrote. I really
Thank
do.
you. That actually means a lot to hear. I feel like it helps me to remember that like the way that I thought about it before, which was like one person, separate person sharing with other people who might or might not care, probably not, that's not really what it is. And when I think about how much I've been able to receive from other so-called other people's writing, and I've just felt like so closed off and unable to give back in that way, and it's just like, I just think about like all of the writers that I've loved and the poets that I've loved and the artists that I've loved and the musicians that I've loved. Like, thank God they didn't have some story that told them like, oh, the world doesn't want this. Nobody could care. Because I know you're the same way. Like you're sensitive to that. I know you've also had music and art and other people's words like get you through
Yep.
dark times and help you understand yourself better and understand what's real better.
I
It's not
found like
always, you know,
growing up and most of my life, music. That's been my thing. Music. Music has touched me in such a way I can't. It's got me through life. I think it kept me alive
yeah,
actually most of my life. And I've always liked poetry. Like even when I was in school and there would be poetry, I really like poetry. I've always really liked poetry. And when I got into the non-duality teachings, um, that's when all this non-dual poetry started coming into my life,
yeah.
like through different resources. Like there's Helen's and there's Rumi's.
Oh,
Uh,
Rumi, yeah.
yeah, I got one of his books,
Yeah,
from
he's
somebody,
wonderful.
and then Walters came to me, and I love reading all this poetry that has come in this form because it has touched me when I read stuff like in that format of the non-dual teachings.
Yeah.
It really, really, I can really relate. It like touches me in a place probably the way music used to.
Yeah.
And um, even my husband, like he writes poetry too, but his is
Mm,
really dark. It's kind of dark, right?
yeah.
Because he's had a lot of dark feelings. So that was an outlet for him, was
Yeah.
poetry. And I remember on my Facebook page, I also had a woman that I was following that had um, a lot of similar like issues that I had with, you know, abuse, rape, just things being done to her physical body, and she went to some really dark places, and she expresses that stuff. She even posts with some of her poetry like this could be triggering, right?
Mm, yeah.
And so a lot of her poetry is dark, but I really like it because even in that poetry, there is such a rawness to it, like
Yeah.
Matthew's, that it's like you can almost feel the pain
Oh,
yourself.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
so, but it's to me, it's not dark. Like a lot of people would, and I use that word because to a lot of people it would be, but for me, it's such a raw beauty, right?
Yeah.
To me, just because of my own life. I've been able to see many times that these deep, dark places that I've been, that there is this beautiness to that, to even my own darkness, to my own pain, to my own suffering. There's always been a beauty to it, right?
Mm. I've
So,
always felt that too. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, I love poetry. I don't care in what form, but it really has taken on a whole new level as it's come into my life through the
Yeah.
non-dual teachings. Like, I can't seem to get enough of it.
Yeah, I've always loved that about you. It's so cool because poetry is has always been, I used to always say it was my first love, that
It's
it was
almost
one of the,
meditative. You can
yeah,
read
I mean,
something, it's almost meditative.
it was like that for me even as a kid and even before I was on any kind, even when I was like not on any kind of spiritual path or anything, poetry was still, art and poetry and things like that. I just felt like that, well, that's my religion. When I left
Mm,
my family's church and everything, it was like I had a sense that, well, this is my religion, this is what I believe in, this is what I think is real and true, and this is what gives my life meaning.
mm.
And yeah,
I think you would be really good at it. I really do.
I think it's something I want to do conscious imagining around because I can tell there's there is a desire there, and I think I've even been kind of avoiding going there because there is it's wrapped up, I think, with this whole thing in general of some kind of fear. I haven't totally unpacked it, but it's some kind of, like, so in the conscious imagining challenge today, the um it's so great, but there's just something here that is struggling with it a little bit. So day 13, feeling good is allowing and feeling bad is holding it away.
Mm, mm,
Um, Put simply, if we are feeling good, we are allowing what we want to show up. And if we're feeling bad in any way, we are disallowing what we want and we'll get more of what we don't want. So that, in a nutshell, explains what my life has been for the last 5 or 6 years.
yeah.
J- and there was something, I don't know if it was just finally shutting down and just not being able to handle any more pain or something, but it was like everything that I did care about and love and everything that had ever made me feel good and happy, like, started falling away. And for a long time, there was a story that it was because I was on a spiritual path. So it was like, you have to give up all these things, you have to be, um, yeah, you have to be willing to give up everything. You can't care about anything except, like, and just be, stripped of all of this stuff that, um, because that's not what matters. What matters is, you know, nothing in the world of form should be meaningful or whatever it is. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of thrown me for a loop with the conscious imagining thing, because it's kind of forcing me to face this, that nobody ever, that wasn't something that life actually asked of me. It was a self-protective thing. It seems clear now that it was like a self-protective thing. It was like, okay, I cared about all of these friends and then I lost them, and I cared about well, whatever it was, this and that I opened my heart to, and then ended up feeling like I had to, like, close my heart to things.
Yeah.
So now there's this process of like letting my heart open again. And of course, there's not anyone doing that, but
It's
it's the
flowering.
little,
Your heart space is flowering.
yeah, but there's definitely, there's definitely some, there's a wanting just to see it and to, well, what Helen talks about here to like, to help this to happen by, and also what you were saying earlier about like things being dark, like, there was something that was more comfortable that with that. There was something that was more comfortable with feeling bad than feeling good, and there's like a safety in that. There's kind of a hanging out there and being like, well, if I'm already feeling bad, then nothing can make me feel bad. No one can
That's
disappoint
right.
me, and I can't lose anything. There's nothing to lose. And I can feel that because of the like today, for example, there was just a hesitation to do the conscious imagining because there was a little bit of a like a resurfacing of this sense um of yeah, of basically feeling afraid of expecting good things to happen because then it's whatever it is, it's like you were saying earlier, like it is being seen, and it's being seen
Mhm.
with far more equanimity than it's ever been seen before, so I know it's a good thing. Um, but yeah, I do think the the writing, like it is something I feel really drawn to. It does feel like a desire that is still here. And from what we understand about desire now, it's like, yeah, this isn't something to suppress. Like there's nobody's asking you to do that. It's quite the contrary, it's like for a spiritual teacher like Helen to be completely encouraging of that, of like, yeah, feel as good as possible. Like that's what this is about, It's like there's some part of me that's still, and I'm guessing it's also just like a really established pathway because of the way that I was conditioned growing up as well, where it's like, yes, be deeply suspicious of anything that makes you feel good. God forbid you feel good, It's like,
Yeah.
um, and the worse you feel, or the more you're sacrificing and the more you're giving up for God, the more, the better off you'll be. And so it's just seeing that clearly and like having it surface again and seeing it again.
Yeah.
And I know it's like anything else, the
Just another layer.
repetition of seeing it again and again. Exactly. So, um, and
People
I
don't
also,
talk about that either, Ellie. Like when you were saying that um, there is something, like we both have said it, there's something that wanted to stay in that
yeah,
contraction, stay in that badness. Like until I really started going deeper into these teachings, I didn't even notice that about myself. I really didn't
mhm.
notice that there actually was a part of me that wanted to feel miserable.
Oh,
And
it's
that
so
takes a lot
unconscious.
of balls
Yeah.
to eventually go,
That's why I was so
you,
impressed
you,
with it because
you're
I know
you're
that.
right. Like there is something here that actually does want to be miserable. There is something here that is getting something out of being
Yes.
miserable. There is something, there is a desire to stay in this miserableness for whatever reason. It's serving a
Yeah.
purpose, and there is a part
Yeah.
of me that likes it. And that takes a lot of balls to freaking admit that at some point. And a
Yeah.
lot of
Most people
people
don't go there.
don't don't even realize that there's a part of you that's actually getting off on feeling like shit.
Yeah.
Really. Like there is a part of you, whether you want to admit it or not, that actually gets off on feeling like shit. It
Yeah.
wants to feel like shit.
It's what Eckhart Tolle says about the pain body. It's like it seeks out
Like, come.
similar energy, it's like
It's
it wants
alluring.
it wants to spread itself, like it's why.
Misery
You know,
loves company, right?
why people pick fights, when they're feeling bad because they want more bad. It's like,
Right.
he
Or people who
describes
are
it really
contrary,
well.
like they're very they cause like they like the conflict. They say that they don't like
Yeah,
conflicting people. Like this people person came into the store and they were so shitty to me, and then I got into their face. Like you're saying that you didn't like that, but then you actually got off on it. There was something in you
it's
that actually
surprisingly
did get
common.
off
Yeah,
on
it's
it, and
so
people don't know it.
unconscious though. That's the thing.
No.
Like Eckhart also talks about how unconscious it is. Like people will actually even um describe it that way, like of something taking over them,
Yeah.
it's like that is how it can feel. Um, but
And
yeah,
it's not good or bad or right or wrong. Like, that's not
that's
what
the
I'm
thing.
saying.
That's
It's
the thing
very
with any of this
unconscious
stuff.
behavior. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that that was going on here until I really started getting into these teachings and I started hearing Helen and other, Eckhart and even Gunga like saying, like, just admit it. Something about you is actually enjoying this. And it's like, what? When I first heard that, it's like, what the F? Like, of course, nothing here is enjoying that, right? But as
right, right.
and went deeper, it was like, hold the bus. Actually, something is liking this. And there was a noticing, like, something actually wants to feel like this. Something is kind of getting off on feeling like this. Something really wants to relay the story of good guy, bad guy situation. And it
Yeah,
is serving some warped kind of
it's the
thing. And
human
it's not
ego.
that
Yeah,
it's not that. And now I can even say that and say that it's not good or bad.
yeah,
It's not that it's right or wrong. It just is, and a lot
yeah.
of
It
people
doesn't
don't
need to be
talk about it. And
demonized.
that no, it's unconscious until
It's
it's
so
not.
unconscious. And
Read
that's
your book.
why, like, it's, yes. Speaking of
We do this
unconscious,
all the time. We go into 50,000 topics.
I love a tangent though. It's
So
never a
do I.
tangent. I mean, it's always relevant.
But people don't talk about that. They really don't,
No, they don't. And it makes sense. People don't talk about unconscious things because they're not conscious of them. So it's
right?
like that's how you know you're getting somewhere when, I mean, that's why like it's shadow work. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's that it's in the shadow, it is unconscious. So
Nor do people want to admit something like that.
no,
I know
exactly.
I
It
did
feels
in the
very
beginning,
uncomfortable, all of that unconscious stuff. Like it's unconscious for a reason. It's because it makes the conscious mind not conscious, like capital C conscious, but our waking mind, it makes it's very upsetting to how we want to view ourselves. We
yeah.
all have stories of how we are and who we are, and that's why it's often like other people in our life that might give a more accurate description, like, no, this is how you actually are. And it's like, because the unconscious is always surfacing in our relationships with other people, whether it's lashing out at them or whatever it is. And so it's often other people that are the brunt of those unconscious
And it
impulses.
is going to keep showing up
And
because
we
there
just
is
stay
something
listening.
there that is
Well,
like,
yeah,
Gungaji says it all the time, like, and what are you getting from this? And she uses that for a multitude of situations. But even in this situation where there's this unconscious part of you that doesn't realize that it is getting off on this, or that it actually does want to feel like this, even though it's saying otherwise, or that it
yeah,
actually is serving a purpose, unconsciously, it's like when you can really be honest with yourself, it's like, even that too, like, what are you getting from this? What are you getting from this story? What are you getting from this behavior? Because it keeps showing up because you're getting something from it.
yeah, it will keep showing up until it's seen. That's the
Yep.
thing. Um, okay, so I
When
wrote
did you
this
write
when
this?
I wrote this several months ago actually, but I like looked at it again recently because because of both of what we're talking about here, those experiences of seeing that like ball of hostility or whatever it is. In this case, I call it shame. Um, because it's a feeling of like the hostility can be there, but at the root of it, it's a feeling of being unlovable. And that's why it wants to push away because it thinks it it's self-protective. It's saying like I don't trust you. It's almost like a feral cat or something that's just gonna like lash out because it just assumes that everything is a threat, you know, it assumes that everything is it's that feeling of otherness, it's separation itself in a ball of energy, you know, basically saying like, and I want to remain separate like this because this is all I have, you know, and and I have to protect myself. I have to stay alive, basically.
Yeah.
So I wrote this just like the way Helen talks about like finding the emotion and giving it a voice. It was before I heard her say that, but I was already doing that because it's not that uncommon. Even therapists tell you to do something like that sometimes, you know, because it is a form of shadow work to do
Yeah.
that, you know. So this is about shame. I am shame. I want to shrink myself down into a shriveled little ball and roll myself into a deep, dark hole where no one can see me. Please don't look at me. Scrutiny feels like absolute torture. I am all alone, and everyone is laughing at me. I hang my head, cheeks flaming, hands shaking, eyes welling up with hot tears. I hunch down and hide my face and wait for everyone to leave so I can be alone in my misery. I jump when I feel a soft touch on my shoulder. I instinctively scrunch myself down in the corner, expecting to hear more mocking laughter, scared of what names I'm going to be called next. Instead, I hear a gentle voice say, "Hey, are you all right?" I feel someone kneel down beside me, but I'm too afraid to raise my head. "Go away," I whisper. "I don't want anyone to see me like this." "But you are beautiful," the voice answers, and I look up, shocked. This must be a trick. But I see only a girl kneeling on the ground next to me, and her eyes are steady and kind. She does not look away, and I do not understand. "Don't you know who I am?" I whisper. "I am shame." My cheeks flame again, and my stomach squeezes up when I say my name out loud. I start to turn away as the tears spill down my face. "Yes, I know," the girl says. "I was hoping we could be friends." And she takes my hand and smiles. That's
See,
what I
you
wrote.
could put that in a book because that's just lovely.
Thank you.
No, you have not
Um,
read that to me before. I would have read that like that.
I might have just thought about it and then didn't do it. So,
That literally could be in a book as just the header shame. Like literally. And you know what? That reminded me of something. Um, while you were reading that, an image came into my thought. A long time ago, when I was doing intuitive work with people, and I was having these, remember I told you that I would see spirits, like spirit,
mm,
like people's
yeah.
spirit would come to me, including my own, and that I always saw it as half person and half something else, usually birds. Okay,
Okay.
so my spirit, when it used to come to me, um, and when I say that, I don't say that very lightly because when that would happen, there would be a serious amount of emotion when a spirit, like somebody's spirit, that's what I called it, their spirit actually has shown themselves to me. And there was such a humbling when that would happen because it felt like such a sacred privilege for somebody's
Mhm.
spirit to reveal themselves to me. Um, like I can't even, that was never taken lightly. So even
Yeah.
to speak of it, it doesn't, it's not lightly. And they're usually accompanied like a lot of tears and stuff because there was such a humbling, it was such a humbling experience every time, even when my own spirit would reveal itself in front of me, right? And I remember one time my spirit came to me and showed me something. And at the time, I was going through something. And what had happened was in a flash, like I saw almost like, you know, when you take a book and you like all the pages,
Yeah.
right? In a flash, in that moment, in my sorrow, um, I saw my whole life kind of flash before me. And there had been so many times in my life where I was really not in a good place. And I just felt like I was like leaning on a, like sitting on a floor like this with my head on the bed or the couch and just
Mm.
sobbing. And when I seen this kind of like flash of my life, like a book being like, I saw myself in so many different stages in that position, but something was different. Instead of now just seeing the bed or the couch or just being hunched over, sobbing at many different ages, right from childhood till that point, my spirit was sitting and I
Mm.
was hunched over onto my spirit's lap.
Oh, wow.
And their hand was on my head, kind of stroking my hair, right? At so many different ages. And I saw that I was never ever alone, that my
Yeah.
spirit had always been there with me, comforting me, even though I didn't know it and I couldn't see it. But now I
Yeah.
was because it was like in a flash. And I was always resting on their lap somehow. And when you were reading that right there, I had the that slam into the foreground of
Mm.
my um that came. It was like as you read that, it was like I could see that all unfolding again, you know, that was so relevant that when you were talking about the voice saying this was beautiful, because I also, that was probably the line where that came in, because I also realized in that moment when I saw that, that all of those really, really low points,
Yeah.
I also saw in that moment the utter beauty of being so lost.
Mm.
I could see it. It was no longer, it
Mm.
took away the sting of all those moments in my life where I was at, including the one I was in at that moment. It took away that sting. It was like I could see in an instant how so much beauty was in that falling apart or feeling so
Yeah.
utterly broken. So as you were
Yeah.
reading that poem and you were saying there was a voice that came in and was saying that you're so beautiful and you went, what? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
whole section that just came in a flash when you read
Mm.
that because it reminded me so much of what that was telling me. And your your I'm going to say poem there of shame um, was exactly like that, but verbal.
Mm.
Whereas this just came to me in an image.
Right. I love that image. That's beautiful because I think there's a truth in it. That's the thing is it was something I was finally able to see clearly that there is nothing unlovable. Any of these feelings that arise that feel like, that's the thing is we push it away, right? We want to be able to push something away. We were like, I don't want to feel that. I don't like that. I don't like you. And at some point, it started to be clear to me that, like, this feeling of rejection that I'd always felt, um, growing up or around other people, that feeling of like, I don't like the way you are, go away or be different or don't come near me unless you're not the way you are, because the way you are is not okay. And I was doing that to these, and at the time it's only become clear over time with a deeper understanding that like it truly is me, that it is all me, that anything that like, well, like what you were saying about that contracted feeling, that even something that feels hostile, that feels um like it wants to push away. It's like even that can be loved, even that can be accepted fully. And yeah, and be seen to be what it is. It's the infinite self showing up as
Yeah.
whatever vibration, whatever energy. Um, and yeah, it's not always pretty. It's not always, um, when we're I mean, it does ultimately all have to be included in our self-definition. It's because we stop compartmentalizing, we lose the ability to do that anymore at some point. And I think that's where this equanimity starts to come from, because there's just more and more of a sense of like whatever's showing up, it's still love in disguise. It's still me. It's still the infinite self. It's still life showing up the way life is showing up, and it's only in the act of pushing something away that we create division or the illusion of division or the
Yeah.
illusion of separation, but it's never actually there, and that gets seen more and more clearly. And yeah, I think I think that's when I don't know, it's just something that's being seen more and more clearly, and it just goes deeper, and it does allow for a flowering to happen. And the thing I've noticed is that there used to be not only a suppression of emotion within myself, but there was like a certain discomfort level with other people's emotions at times as well. It was one of the things where there was like an avoidance of really intimate relationships, friendships, even because of a fear of like there's there's danger there, they're like, I'm not going to know how to, like, I can't even deal with my own emotions, so how can I deal with someone else's type of feeling? And that I've noticed that has been dropping away for a while, where there's um there's just more and more willingness, like as I've been able to meet things within myself, there's been more of a willingness to meet so-called other people or seemingly other people. And I know that just deepens, as our sense of oneness becomes more clear then we don't see separate people at all, and whatever's showing up is completely accepted. Um,
When this recording loads itself, because I realized with the last recording that actually it takes a little bit of time for it to happen,
yeah,
and
I think I remember
I
that.
send it to you, I would encourage you to watch the video where you're reading what you wrote and just kind of sitting back as if you're myself,
Mm,
listening to you read what you wrote. And I think you will get what I'm talking about.
mm.
I really do. Because
Get what you're talking
get
about as far as
like
writing.
yeah, like when I say what I was saying about your writing,
Yeah,
I think if you can just rewatch this video of you reading what you wrote, like as if you don't even know the person that is
yeah.
reading that, like they wrote it, it's not you, and you're just going to sit there and watch as if you were me. I think that you are going to come to the exact same conclusion that I've been verbalizing to you tonight, and you're going to see it. And
Well,
I
you know
think
what?
that it will change how you're looking at what you're writing.
I think you're right, actually, because I actually am getting a sense of it already, that that's one of the things that I feel like is very different from the way that I ever thought about it before. Because one of the things that, like, when it comes to artists that I've loved and poets that I've loved, the like a lot of the way they would talk about their writing would be like, I'm not writing it, it's just coming from somewhere and I don't know what that is type of thing. We do know what that is. Like what that's the thing is like it's coming from the infinite awareness. Like that's where everything is coming from. But there's something that happens, um, like what I'm like I think the what I would like to deepen is that sense that there's no ownership over it. There's no like I've really noticed Helen a few times in I don't remember if it's in recent live thought songs or if it's older videos that I've seen, so I can't point you to it, but where she has talked about losing the ability to be self-conscious. Like she'll notice saying something or doing something that she knows that there would have been judgment about it at one point, but that now there's like, yeah, just a watching of it and being like, oh, I guess that was awkward or whatever, but there's no feeling about it. There's no, and she's
Yeah.
even talked about how she never would have become a spiritual teacher or held songs or things like that if she felt like she was doing it, because there would have been too much um self-consciousness or I mean, she's basically I think talked about having always been introverted or whatever, never wanting to be in front of people or anything like that. But that's the thing, at some point you realize that whatever that self image you have isn't real, and what wants to be expressed is going to get expressed. What wants to be lived will be lived. It's not about a separate person anymore. It's about the oneness. And um there's just more and more of a sense of that. And um yeah, I just want to be able to let that feel good. The fact that I've always felt so good writing, um, but always kind of like shied away from it, even though it felt good and even though it felt better even than almost anything else. And now I feel like there's a permission to go there, to be able to be like, well, there's no longer this questioning of it. Like Helen just makes it so clear. There's still the mind still does actually question it, but there's just a watching of that, and there's not a going with the story. But like, yeah, the idea that if it feels good, that means it's the right thing to do. It doesn't mean that something's wrong,
Yeah.
that something needs to be suppressed because it means you're, uh, I don't know, gonna get punished or something for being self-indulgent or self, whatever it is, selfish or whatever. Um, but yeah, I've thought about starting to share things like that on my YouTube channel, for example, um, just as a way
To me,
to,
that's a poem. What you just read, that was a
yeah,
poem.
I
How it
didn't,
sounded to me, that sounded like a poem about shame.
yeah, that's the thing is I didn't write it that way. I was really just trying to journal, but it's because I actually do have, um, like it wants to come out that way. It is a form of self-expression. Like it wants to sound like poetry sometimes, like the when I'm journaling or when I'm just trying to work out an emotion or something. It because I think in metaphors and I do uh think in imagery and things like that. So it's something I want to lean into, because it's just like I said, this was something that was really discouraged when I was growing up. And I mean, I literally grew up in a church where women were not allowed to speak, so the idea of like having any kind of gift with communication or writing or anything like that was like, it was like, how dare you, that's not your role. Um, Of course, I never actually believed in that, but it doesn't matter. Like, I understand that it doesn't matter. Like, even though it's because it's not about what we consciously believe, it's how we get conditioned, and that kind of forms our sense of limitations about like what's okay and what's not okay, and, um, but with more and more of those stories falling away, and that even the sense of a past falling away, of having some kind of linear um narrative that it's supposed to. I mean, we know with every time we do self-inquiry, we check to look to find that so-called separate person with all of these stories and all of these issues, and it's not there. So that makes it more and more clear that we are just like this open space, and um that open space is not a black hole of nothingness as much as the mind wants to perceive it that way. It really is that place from which all creativity flows and all self-expression flows,
Mm.
Um, so yeah, when I think about desires, with the conscious imagining, we're supposed to like really feel our desires. And I know that's like a real desire to be creative, to like what you were saying about finding beauty, like being able to show other people the beauty and um even what seems like darkness or what seems like um
It really isn't. It feels like it is really dark, and it seems like it's really dark. And when you're going through it, it also seems and feels that way. But it really isn't. Like, I know when I was working in the with the records and working with the intuitive stuff and other
yeah.
people, and spirit was talking to me, and the things that I experienced and I was shown, right? Those are forms of love. When you are
Yeah.
really in the thick of it and you are really falling apart, and there is in those moments are really beautiful moments, because it's it's in those times when you've actually stopped fighting how you feel, you've stopped
Mm,
fighting the situation, and you have just given up that. And there's this, whether people know it or not, there is this breaking point where you just fall apart. You just give in to the sorrow or however it is that you're feeling. And that is a form of love. That is the form
yeah.
of love
It's,
right there taking hold. And we don't know it because it feels horrible. It seems horrible,
yeah.
but it is love. That is love when you finally just give into it. And
Yeah.
there's this allowing, you're not allowing, but there is this allowing because something broke, right? Something, there's a snapping point, and there's just this allowance of this flow of emotion, of this
Yeah.
raw emotion to just totally take over you for whatever amount of time that it is. And that is love. That is
Yeah.
self-love. I
It's
mean, if you
total
can see it,
acceptance.
yeah, there's a total of, right? There is a total acceptance. It might not feel like it is,
Yeah,
but
it
there
might
is.
feel horrible at the time, but it is, there's just a surrender to it. It just breaks
Yeah.
open. There's no more, there's
It's
just
like
the
you
analytical
really can't
mind
take it
goes,
anymore.
yeah,
It's like something in you just needs to break. And there is like this, that is beautiful. That is
yeah.
really,
That's
really a
every image
beautiful,
of Christ
sweet
on the
moment.
cross that every artist has ever explored. Like that's what they're exploring, the human brokenness and the total. I mean, that's why that's an image of love. Like I mean, there's all kinds of theology or whatever. That's not what it's about.
Yeah,
That's not real. Like everything that the analytical mind has come up with doesn't matter. Anything that's about whatever, there's a reason that speaks to people regardless of what they believe, because there's anybody who's lived a human life has had those moments that has broken them,
that's an
and
unconscious surrender.
yeah,
When that happens, right, before you know what it is, that is a total surrender to that moment. And that even though in our moments before we knew anything, there was this unconscious surrender, right? Because something had to give
yeah,
through these teachings. And I'm speaking from experience here. Those surrender moments can be consciously surrendered. And I don't mean that you've done it. I just mean that it looks the same, it feels the same, but
mm,
it's consciously done now. There's a consciousness there when it's going on.
yeah,
I know that because when me and my husband were going through that whole situation that I've discussed with you, where my marriage was almost over, and there was this really for the first time in my life, actually, it was in that moment where it was like, no, this is how I feel, right? And it might not look pretty and it may not sound pretty, but this is true for me right now. I am angry. I am
mm,
broken. I am hurt. And I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And there was a total falling apart. And I had just really, maybe only for a few months, been engulfed in some serious non-duality teachings from all over the place. I hadn't had a teacher at this moment. I just had
yeah,
YouTube, right?
yeah,
And I think in those moments, in that few weeks span where there was this, it was rough, okay? There was a lot of rough falling apart. It wasn't pretty. It really wasn't. But I had so many profound experiences in that time that I really can't explain. I've talked to you about this before. I really can't explain what transpired there. It shouldn't have even been possible. But I can see now, fast forward through
Cut
the
to.
teachings,
Yeah.
being more open, having a greater understanding of myself, the true self, right? That in all of that falling apart, it was done consciously. And that's why I had so many profound experiences because there was this total acceptance. There was this total allowing for the first time of my life to say,
Yeah,
no, not hiding anything, not
exactly.
shaming anything, not anything. There was a total and utter surrender to it. I didn't do that, it just happened. But it allowed these beautiful, profound things that I can't explain to happen. But it was because it was done consciously,
Mm.
right? Because I did have some sort of teachings, even if I didn't fully understand them, right? I had
Yeah.
been watching them for months. I had been listening for months. There was stuff that was steeping in. Self
Yeah. Well,
inquiry
and
was
even
happening
being
before I
drawn to
even
those
knew what it
teachings.
was,
Yeah.
right? So, like, on some level, it was done consciously, and there was the shifts. So, when you can be in the thick of it and the rawness of it, instead of pushing against or
Exactly.
walking away thinking it's going to be too much. I can see now what Gangaji and other teachers say about allow it to be too much then.
Yeah.
Walk right into it and allow it to completely and utterly take over you. Fall deeply, if you fall deeply into that despair, let it consume you then, right? There's that saying like, let it burn in the fire of despair. When that can be done consciously, and I'm not saying make it prettier or make it whatever. No, I'm talking about fall deeply in despair then. Fall deeply into that anger then. Fall deeply into that shithole. Because, man, when that is done consciously, nothing but beauty can come out of that. Nothing but beauty can come out of that. And I am speaking from experience. You know what I mean? This is all coming up from your shame poem. um, but if people only knew,
Mm.
if they only knew that falling so deeply into that, what would blossom from it? What would
That's the
open up
thing. We
inside of
don't
your being
we don't
from it?
know until we know.
We don't
Yeah.
know until we know. And that's why I think teachers like Helen and Eckhart and all of those are so important. But in some ways, I also think that's why what me and you are doing when we meet each other now being recorded and hopefully shared, I think it's important that people like me and you sharing our experiences like this, talking about maybe even what some teachers and stuff don't really talk about. There's like this, we're not trying to be spiritual here. We're just talking about what it is like to be aware of ourselves and to be human at the same time. Because a lot of people think that this is spirituality and this is humanness. And in order to be more enlightened or be more spiritual, I've got to deny the human parts of myself. But no, they are the same. They are the same, right? And when you're not trying to mask that and watch what you're saying and trying to make it sound dual, right? Oh,
Right.
I can't say it like that because that's not correct, right?
Yeah, it's like a
How would
self.
you say this in a non-dual language, right?
Well, that's really something that can happen, with a lot of the um like that can happen, that can happen for sure where I mean that's what spiritual bypassing is, right? It's like, it's another way to avoid how life is showing up, like you can spend your whole life using alcohol, um binge watching stuff like sex, like whatever, and then you get on a spiritual path and you use non-duality to do it, like that can happen, like it does happen to people, like it's like there's endless ways to avoid facing life head on the way you're describing, like that's the challenge in life is having the willingness to do that and the intention to really do that, to not hold anything back, to not protect um any part of ourself from what's actually showing up, it's and I mean I'm speaking for myself as well, because I mean that's like I get it, like I get that it's not easy, like to um like I but what you're saying is true, like the more that is seen, that it just draws it out, it just prolongs it prolongs our misery, it prolongs our loneliness, all of that, when there are these avoidance tactics,
Yeah.
to keep from fully engaging with whatever it is that's surfacing at any given moment, a lot, and even things like, and this is where I've seen it in my own experience, just sort of a deadening yourself to life and a shutting things down, even your heart's desires, because it just does not feel safe. And but it's not a solution, it doesn't actually fix anything, we don't actually have the capacity um to do anything with these emotions except allow them to
See
be
them.
seen at some point,
Yeah.
so
And
I
we
do
really
think,
don't even have the ability to avoid because
no, that's sort of
if
a
you're binge watching TV
illusion.
or if you're listening to music, this is starting to become really, really like deepened at the moment. I don't know what's going on here, but even if you're doing these things, that doesn't make them right or wrong. It just is what's happening. But that Netflix, that TV you're watching, that's not separateness. That's not separate
Exactly.
from what you are. That's formlessness right there in the form of TV. That's formlessness there in the form coming up as music. You cannot, you can't even avoid yourself. Even
Right.
if you
No,
think that you're using avoidance tactics, the moment that you thought that you're using avoiding tactics, you're not because you're aware. And those things are not separate from you. You cannot take a step closer to yourself and you cannot take a step away from yourself.
that's right. Yeah. I mean, that's what ends up becoming more and more clear ultimately, is that all of that seeming action that was taken to make anything happen or to avoid anything, none of that was really really what you thought it was at
Mhm.
all. And that's why there has to be this total um dissolving of anything we've built up in our mind as far as understanding what this experience has been so far and what life is.
Yeah.
Um, it's anything that's been seen through the filter of the mind, um, is illusory anyway. So, um, the yeah, I like that. I like what you just said. It's
That's new. That's new to me. Like that just,
yeah,
I don't know what happened in that meditation the other day. I really don't. Um, I don't, I don't even really know what happened when me and you did statement process the other day together.
yeah,
I really don't know what transpired there. And I really don't understand what's going on with this oneness and unity challenge. Like,
yeah.
but I do know
It's
that I
powerful.
used to quite often, and I've said it many times when we talk about referring to what Rupert said about take take a step closer to yourself. You cannot take a step closer to yourself. You can't do it. It's the one thing you can't do. You just can't take a step closer to you. You're already the self. You can't get any closer to your beingness than you already are and always have been.
Right.
But lately, in the last couple of weeks, I don't know when it started stepping forth, but I'm also noticing, and I've been using this language even with myself, and tonight, obviously, it's been coming forth that not only can I not take a step closer to myself, which I really got that when I heard it, but I'm really understanding now that I can't take a step away from myself either. It's not possible. Not only can I
Right.
step not closer, I cannot step away from myself. And that
Yeah,
really
that's
came
right.
apparent when we were talking, whenever it was recently when we were talking, and I was, we did the statement process, and it was like, there was this major contraction, and there was also this spaciousness around it. And it was like, when you verbalized to me in a voice message on WhatsApp about that, that's when it really hit me.
Mm,
It was like I heard it. I heard it and I saw it in my mind's eye. It was like, fuck, I can't even take a step away from myself.
mm,
What? It was almost like the moment of, when I really knew there was no outside of me, but then that situation happened with the bank and the rent and stuff, and then it was like, then I realized there was also no out, like inside of me. It was like I knew there was no outside, and therefore there, but everything's inside. No, it really hit me then that, oh my shit, there's no inside of me either. What does that even mean? And then the other week, just whatever, where it was like I knew things weren't separate to me, but then all of a sudden they were formless, and all of a sudden, like, their form just dropped away, and it was like, what, and it was like the shock,
yeah,
like, what, now I can't grab onto something. Went deeper there. So then when we did that
yeah,
statement process, and then you left that message, and it hit me like whammo. It's like, and I heard it and I saw it, was like I knew I couldn't take a step closer to myself, but then I really realized that, whoa, I can't even take a step away from myself either. You know what
mm,
I mean? Like there was this,
yeah,
and we
yeah,
can't, no matter what's going on, no matter how we're feeling, no matter whatever, no matter, we can't. You can think that you're even distracting yourself from whatever it is, but you cannot even take a step away from yourself. It's
mm,
not possible.
right.
It's
Yeah,
not possible. That TV is you. That distraction
mm,
is you. That music is you.
yeah, wow, that's right. Yeah, so it just
That
dissolves.
avoidance, that's also you. That resistance, that's also you.
Well, this is really beautiful because it's including everything in that way is what does lead to deeper and deeper seeing. Because it is the truth, it is only the mind that separates things and divide things into good, bad, spiritual, unspiritual. Um, yeah,
I can be, I can be, what's the word that wants to come? I can be no more myself than I am in any moment,
mm,
no matter how that appears.
right.
We should put that on a bumper sticker.
I mean, I think that, yeah, right. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that is why it all has to dissolve.
And that's why everybody is on the path. That's
Yes,
why whether you're taking this route, that route, there's 50 billion thousand people, so 50,000 billion routes, right? It doesn't matter. That's why everybody is on the path because it doesn't matter if you're conscious, unconscious, how you're getting there.
right,
You cannot be any more yourself than you are right now.
right. Yeah,
It doesn't matter how it looks, and it doesn't matter if you're conscious or unconscious. You are
that's right.
still consciousness itself, no
You
matter
are.
how that
No
looks.
exceptions. Yeah.
No exceptions.
It's just how it is. That's just the reality. There's
And that's
no,
also why you can't get off the train. When you start becoming conscious of yourself,
that's
there
right.
is no, I need to get off this train station. You cannot get off of yourself.
Mm,
There is no train station where that train is going to stop and you can step off the train.
that's right. Yeah.
Not possible.
Good
That's
luck with
why
that.
everybody is on it. Everybody is on this
Yeah.
unstoppable train with no pit stops.
Yeah. I mean, and it's good news because that means that any sense of division, any sense of separation is an illusion. There and any sense that anything is other than what it should be. And I know that's really hard for the mind to accept. But but that is where peace lies, that seeing that it's only the mind judging things as good or bad, usually bad, usually unacceptable, not okay, because it's always looking for problems, as like a survival mechanism. And when that starts to settle down and it starts to go quiet, then um yeah, like what can threaten you once you see that? Once you see that there's nothing other than you, what is there that can be um I used to have a sense that like if you got really spiritual, if you got very spiritually advanced, if you were really far along the path and you had this beautiful equanimity and you were just able to accept everything, it was like you were just like a better person. You just had learned to control your impulses. There's also a sense that you were seeing something that most people weren't seeing, but there was only just kind of an inkling of what that was. But it does become more and more clear that you're not seeing separation, you're not seeing separate people, you're not seeing um, what Helen says in the Unity and Oneness Challenge today. It's like is the ocean bothered by the waves? You know, she talks about how everything that seems to be happening in the world is um it's an appearance, you know, the appearance of something happening. But when you know that you're this infinite, vast awareness, then you know that you're not affected. It's not like theoretical or something. Like it's not a belief, you know, it's just the ocean doesn't have to have any beliefs about being the ocean. It is the ocean. It is the ocean. And so waves that are happening on the surface, first of all, it sees the waves are itself. The waves are also made of the ocean. So there's no sense of separation. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's everybody is the ocean, you know, whether they think of themselves as something else or believe themselves to be something else or whatever. It's at some point that breaks down because it's an illusion, and the thing about illusion is it's not real. So that's why we don't have to do anything with it when even when we find ourselves um you know, in some kind of reactive state or something where we're um yeah, it's just that's the good news when you're in this place of awakening and you're you know, if you do find yourself in a contracted state like that, the more that's seen, like what you're describing right now, like there's a point that that is seen so deeply that uh contractions don't feel real. The illusion is broken down enough that it's you know, I remember I don't even know how long ago when it felt like there were like long stretches of time that I would completely lose sight of it all and just be completely lost in stories and lost in a very busy mind and things like that. And um, you know, the mind does get quieter and
Mhm.
the identification does loosen more and more. And at some, you know, it is it's always been inevitable, always. But at some point, that's just seen more clearly. Of course, it's inevitable that all illusion would dissolve at some point, you know. There's nothing else that can happen. That's why Helen can always tell people that that you can't do this wrong.
And I
So
think
it is,
that's also like, I seen this a while ago, but I think that's also, there's proof here that there's no separate beings from one another. Like you are not separate from me. I'm not separate from you. I'm not separate from Riley, my cat. You know what I mean? Um,
and I'm not separate
there,
from Riley, your cat.
right. Like there, there is a reason why you can take anybody, anybody whatsoever, and put them in a room with anybody to have a conversation. And no matter what is said during that conversation, even though, let's say, you had an experience and I've experienced life, right? So it looks like there's two totally life experiences happening. There is a
Yeah.
reason why I can relate on some level to everything that you say in my own way.
Mm.
Everything. It doesn't matter if you're talking about something good, it doesn't matter if you're talking about something bad, it doesn't matter what you are talking about or what anybody is talking about. If you really pay attention, we can relate to whatever is being said on some level, and that is usually why the story of a separate person is kept alive, because you will
Mm.
say something, and then more than likely I'll either think it or I'll say it out loud of, oh, yeah, that's right. I remember when I had a time where I can relate to that, or, oh, I had a similar experience, but it was about something else, or, you know what I mean? Like, there is a
Yeah.
reason why that's going on, because there is no separate person. It was built right in to every being that is in this form to relate to everything everybody is saying, including movies. That's why movies are so great, because we can
Hmm.
relate on some sort of level, right? That's
Yeah.
why I can look at my cat now and I can see he has this thing. Oh,
Oh,
what's going on?
where
What
did
the?
what
What
did you
is
even do? I
that?
mean, that I, I
It's a
don't know what
party up
triggers
in
the
here.
balloons. Yeah.
Okay. There's there's a reason why when Riley goes through his little routine since he was a kitten, when he had a traumatic experience where he picks up his mouse and he walks around the house having this performance, yowling at the top of his lungs because everybody's gone to bed, and this is his routine, and it stems from him having this abandonment issue when he was a very baby cat. I'm so
Oh,
sorry,
poor
buddy.
Riley.
Right? But there have been times where he's been doing that, especially when I seen what it actually was stemming from, right? And it's stemming from he had this traumatic abandonment experience, right? And when I saw that that's where it was stemming from, there was something in me that went, oh, buddy, I know what you're going through. I can relate to what's going on, but just get in the bed, will ya? If you would just get up here, you don't need to do that. I tell him, you don't need to be doing this whole performance. Just get in the damn bed, right? But I can relate. I can relate to his abandonment issue. I can relate
Yeah.
to why he's doing that. I can see it because I could see it in myself. Even the damn cat, I can relate to, right? Or there have been times where I've been looking at trees outside prior to non duality teachings, right? You can be, or I can be, I am talking about experience, but you can be sitting in your apartment. You can be watching the rain outside and it being cloudy, and some part of you, either internally or externally, can go, yeah, I felt like that from time to time. Why? Because you're not separate from even the weather. Or I've noticed times when I've been looking at trees on hikes and I've noticed like somebody's carved their initial into a tree, or a limb has broken and it's just kind of hanging there. And I can relate. I can relate to what that, like, man, I see your tree. I see your limb half hanging off there. Yeah, I've had moments in my life where I felt like that, or I've seen initials carved into a tree, and my first thought is, man, I bet people didn't think of how that felt when they were carving that into the tree. Like,
Mm.
man, I can relate to that when people were unconsciously carving something into to here. There is a reason why we can relate to all of it, and it's because we're not separate from none of it. It is all us. That's why that's why that exchange is happening. It's just more often than not, we're unconscious to it. So we get sucked into the stories about it instead of actually seeing that actually it's transpiring because we're with ourselves. We can only be with ourselves. We cannot take a step back from ourselves. So there's this world, it's all fun, and you can relate to every damn thing in it on some level.
Mm.
Everything, even the weather. I know I've looked out at times and watched it rain or whatever and thought, yep, I can relate to this weather. It's dreary and dismal and kind of sad, or you know what I mean? It's like, and it reminds me
Yeah.
of something about myself. It's because it's because it is me.
Well, and everything is a perfect example of itself.
Right? Everything is showing us ourselves all over the place. We are literally talking to ourselves everywhere.
Well, it is all just, it's like infinite facets of being.
Yeah. And what is that really when you think about it? Like now, when I sit down and I think about it, I can relate to all of it. I can see it now because it is all me. I know it's all me. And yet, I don't know what any of that is because
Mm,
it is even in itself, because this is all form. This is just a grand, because it goes beyond even this planet. Like it's a grand scale of us, the form story in motion, right? And that form story at its root is actually just a story. It is really just formlessness first and foremost, before and even as you're seeing the form,
mm.
right? And that is just like a, because this is such a grand story of the self on such a massive scale. Even physically, it shows us, right, that if this can be so grand of a story and so massive that the mind can't really wrap its brain around it, it has so much depth there and vastness in itself in form.
Yeah, even in
That is
form.
literally telling us that I don't even know what that is, because that's reflecting back to the formlessness, the vastness, the depth, the unending totality of that. Like even form reflects that back,
Mm.
really.
Yeah.
Like just think about that for a second. Like shit, man. This is such a grandiose story that I can't even wrap my brain, because if there is no thing and no thing that is me, because I am first and foremost no thing. And all supposed things, even subtle things like thoughts and feelings, right? So that is the form story of my indivisible self. It's so big and grandiose, like,
Yeah. I mean, that's why the mind has to stop trying to figure everything out at some point because it just, um,
It can't even be put into words. Form or form,
exactly.
form or formlessness when you start when it
Yeah.
starts getting like so
Yeah,
shit.
once it's like depersonalized, once that the story of the small self separate self moving through the world, like the more that starts to dissolve, the more it's like, how did I not notice all of this else that was happening all the time, you know? Like there's a whole world out there, you know, but we get so zeroed in on our own story, our own drama, or our own pain, and it's understandable. But it feels like the most compelling, the most real thing. But that's the amazing thing about when that starts to dissolve. It's not, it's like, yeah, the awareness, um, the infinite self, like you could just contemplate that for the rest of your life and never get to the bottom of it, of course. But then even just the world of form, like you're saying, the world of form, like has that been actually explored, you know? Like even somebody who feels like they've lived a really full life, usually it's quite constricted because of how much we have these stories weighing us down. I mean, that's like what I was talking about earlier. Like I've had things I've wanted to do in my life, like desires of my heart, but they were just never expressed. And I've lived a really, really full life. But even then, there's so much unlived life there, especially in recent years because of getting just completely drawn in by um, the activity of the mind, basically. That's what ends up being the thing that most of our attention ends up going to. So that like even in relationships, for example, like are we really experiencing the way that other person is showing up, the way they're expressing themselves, or is everything seen through the filter of how is this affecting me and how are they viewing me? And you know, that's the human ego at work. But it's only when the ego starts to dissolve that it becomes so clear of like how much this constricts what I mean, that's the whole thing about the way the mind works is it's like it just has this like little bundle of possibilities that it's carrying around based on what it's experienced thus far. I mean, not only does it not understand the formlessness at all, but it doesn't even understand the world of form at all. You know, it's so narrow in its sense of what is possible. Like, look how many people base all of their all of their experience of other people will be totally constrained by what they believe about other people, just in general. Like, um, we just all end up having those stories. And usually it's 100% based on like our early years in our family of origin. And whether we realize it or not, our entire judgments about the entire human race is based on a couple of very flawed people, maybe, um, influencing a very sponge-like human brain in infancy and early childhood. Like it's crazy when you think about it. Um, That's why it is so liberating when it becomes more and more clear that none of the mind stories are actually true. And I've seen that myself with like it's been shocking to me to see that clearly, to see how much fear was driving the whole experience of life, you know. It's like other people aren't safe. And so they're the possibility of having safe experiences with people don't show up because it can't even be allowed in. It's not even like when we can't even consider something as a possibility, it's very difficult for it to actually manifest because it's not even recognized when it is seen. And if it does show up, we like run in the other direction because it's
Yeah.
not what we can't fit it into our paradigm, you know. But that's what, even though it feels scary to go into the unfamiliar territory of letting go of all of those stories, um, it's the only way that a life can actually be lived fully.
Yeah. And even in those protection mechanisms of the mind, right, where you can't even go there because some part of you needs to be even protected by your own thoughts or your own feelings, right? Even then, your mind and your body is not your enemy, right?
Right?
Because it's literally thinks that it's protecting you from something,
Yeah.
and that in itself is an act of love.
Yeah, I know it is just love
So
in a
again, like
nutshell.
you can't step away from yourself, even still, even when you are consciously or unconsciously going, I can't go there, I need protection from something, like
Yeah,
whatever it may be, consciously or unconsciously, that pattern, that mind activity about it is still an act of love because it really does think that it is trying to protect you from something.
yeah,
And that very act is an act of love, no matter
yeah,
how it's appearing. So again, you cannot step away from the self. And the self
right.
is love. And it doesn't
Yeah,
matter if it's like, again, unconscious or conscious. That very act of I can't even go there is still an act of love.
yeah, yeah. It changes everything when it can be seen that way. It just softens everything.
There's no shame,
Yeah,
no reason for shame, no reason anymore for this is right or this is wrong or I shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Like none
yeah,
of that.
yeah. And the highest possibility at any given moment is what is showing up.
Yeah.
Um,
You're meeting things at the capacity that you
yeah,
have to meet them in that moment, right?
yeah,
You can only meet things at the capacity that you have at that moment,
exactly.
which means
Yeah,
it's not right or wrong.
that's right. And that's really difficult for the mind to accept, especially when we grow up with cultural paradigms that are very moralistic and very much about classifying things and I mean, you know, it's like the mind has so many objections to that because it feels like it means that you're um it feels like chaotic or something to the mind. It's
Yeah.
like you're like you're like it wants to argue with it, it wants to be able um to judge, but it's such a relief when that starts to break down. You realize that it doesn't actually hold up, that it's we want to believe, especially in modern culture, there's a lot of emphasis on the idea of free will. Ancient cultures and some other cultures, there's a more of an idea of destiny or the idea of it's not like modern culture seems to be like 100% like everything we do is because we rationally or consciously or are because the ego is just like completely out of control. It's just like everything is because I decided to do it. I decided to do it and then I set out to do it, and then there's so much judgment of other people, of ourselves, because everything feels like our responsibility or someone else's responsibility. Like the idea that there's like a bigger picture at work where things are just unfolding, that feels real. I think that's why there are so many objections, like when non-duality is first encountered, because it feels like it breaks down all of our ideas about what it is to be a human being interacting with other human beings. Um, but but all of that can be questioned. The truth of it can be questioned, and um, it does start to break down, when it becomes clear, especially with something like what we did last month with the dissolving the doer challenge. It's like, I mean, most of us don't go through life questioning any of those basic assumptions about what it is, what actually is even happening here.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because that illusion is so compelling, the idea of I'm deciding everything that I'm doing. Um,
I used to think
but
that.
yeah,
I used to think that there was free will and that kind of thing. And the further and further I go into these teachings, the more and more things start to like really penetrate.
yeah,
I'm really, really realizing that there's never been a such thing as free will ever. I really, really did believe that in the past.
yeah.
Because I really believed that I could control my destiny, that
That's
I
what we
was
all want to
making right
believe.
or wrong decisions, but the
You feel
further
like
and
you can get,
further
yeah,
and deeper into this rabbit hole, you know what I mean? I really cannot anymore believe that there is free will. There's just not free will. There is no free will. There never was free will. This really is unfolding itself. I really just am watching this, and realistically, what I am has never been free, and it really has never been not free. It's never been in bondage, like Gangaji said, and it
yeah.
has never been free. Freedom, even in itself, is just another category. I want to be free. What wants to be free? What we are is not free, and it's not in bondage. It's never even been either of those. Because in order for what we are to be free, it would have had to have been in bondage at some point,
Mm,
right? So therefore, it can't even be free. It just is.
mm.
There is no such thing as free will. There never has been. It's not even possible.
I mean, it's all
Everything just
based
is.
on the idea of a separate self.
Yeah,
I mean, everything,
that
any
is
kind
really
of,
starting to lose ground, Ellie. Like
yeah,
that ground that I used to talk about, that, even that one where I used to say that if I just have enough faith, you know, even if I can't see the next step, I know that the next thing will be when I put my foot down.
mm,
Like none of that even is starting to exist anymore. That is really dissolving real quick.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't even know what to say. I'm starting to like even, I know we talk about it, but sometimes it's like I don't even have the words to say anymore.
Yeah. Same.
There is no word to stand on.
No, at some point that
There's nothing to
breaks
believe
down.
in.
Right.
There's just the knowing
Yeah.
that I just am.
Yeah.
The beliefs are
That's it.
falling away. There's almost nothing to believe in or on. There's nowhere to put my foot because there never was a foot and there was never a space for my foot to go.
That's all, those are all thoughts, and more and more that's just not what is consulted. Um, if it's there, it's there, but it's just not believed in the same way because it's seen to be for what it is, it
That really
used to,
stuck out for me when Gangaji said that one time. I think we watched that video together.
yeah,
When
on
she
Sunday.
said, when that one guy said, um, "I just want to be free."
Mm,
So then be free. Who wants to be free? She goes, that's just another
mm,
trick of the mind. In order to have been free, what you are would have had to been in bondage. Freedom has an opposite. What you
it's
are, it's
dualistic.
dual, it's dualistic. What you are and what you have always been could have never been in bondage, and it can never be free because they're opposites of each other. What is left then?
Mm,
So be free. Using the words, I want to be free, I am free, what I am is free, it's no different than saying I'm in bondage. So be free.
mm.
Be free of it all. Be free of freedom. That's what she said. Be free of
Yeah,
freedom.
yeah.
Let it all go.
Because who is this I? Who is this I that wants to be free? Who isn't free already?
It just is. There's
Yeah.
no freedom, there's no bondage. It just is. I just am.
That's the one thing that can't be denied, you know.
It's the only
That's
thing
why
I know.
I
It's
mean,
the
that's
only
the
thing
only
I know
thing
for
anyone
sure is that I
actually knows.
am. And what I am, I have no fucking idea what that is anymore. It's
And
getting, it's becoming less and less clear what the hell I am,
that becomes more and more okay though.
right? Because at one point on this path, I started being very clear that what I am. There really is these stages. Like, I
Yeah.
know that I'm not a person and that I am. I am this formlessness. And then things start, disappearing on you. Like, metaphorically speaking, and in the mind's eye, they literally do start disappearing. You know what I mean? And the more and more this steeps in, the less and less I actually know what the hell I actually am. I just
Mm,
know the only thing I really can know is that I am. I don't know how I know that. I don't know how it's possible. I don't even know what that means. It's even losing more and more of that, of everything that's surrounding it, other than I just know that, and that's really all that I know. Really.
yeah. Well, there's peace in that. There's peace in not knowing.
And before I would have said bullshit, because some of this has been really fucking scary every time that no
Yeah.
thing has appeared in front of me of holy shit, right? But it is. It has come in layers. It has come in as an like an onion. It has appeared. in stages, in the same way. And every time that's happened, it's like, holy shit. But is the one thing that I can honestly say at this point, 100% of the truth is I really don't know what anything is. And the only thing I really do know is that I am. And I don't even know what that means anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, but that's
That's just
okay.
going to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
However,
Well, on that
whatever
note,
forever is,
on that note, that's a good stopping point.
isn't it though?
Yes, I love it.
I do
And
too.
it's been
And
good
I am so
talking to you.
grateful that I have you in my life
Right
where
back
I
at you,
can
girl.
actually talk so openly about
Yeah.
everything,
Yes.
experiences, our teachings, the depth of our being, like all of
All
it.
of
Like
it.
just to
Yeah.
be able to like verbally dump, let's say,
Oh, it's been
everything.
amazing. Like, since we started doing the daily check-ins, like with the challenges, I mean, it's just changed everything. It's
I
just a,
honestly think when we're done these challenges, I'm going to start right back at the beginning
oh,
and
bro, I have
start
already been
like
planning to do that.
I don't plan on stopping these challenges because I plan on going through all of them and then going right back to square one because I'm noticing like I've even returned
Because
back
it'll just go deeper.
to the TTM course. I've
Oh,
just
yeah.
recently started revisiting that. And that is a totally different experience than the first time I went through it.
Yeah,
So like
exactly.
these challenges can only go deeper. I don't plan on
Yeah.
stopping them, just so you know. I just plan on
No,
regurgitating
I'd
back.
already was thinking about that because I was already thinking like, man, I want to do the abundance challenge again. I feel like it would go a lot deeper after these subsequent challenges that we've done because a lot of that was brand new. And and I just yeah, like with the conscious imagining especially, I feel like first of all, I do want to keep doing that because I can tell that it's yeah, that it's
I
just
do too.
where
Just as you
it's
say that, you go, I just want to keep doing that. And something in me went, "Ugh, but
yeah,
I
I
do
know.
too. But I do
Yeah.
too. Because
I
I'm having
struggled with
this
it today. I mean,
period to it.
I wanted to skip it altogether today, but I know that that's temporary. Like that's just so much clearer at this point of like, okay, so I struggled a little bit today. That doesn't mean it's going to keep being that way. Because it's shifted so quickly before and I wasn't even expecting it to shift that quickly, to be able to actually see like for example, with the abundance challenge, to see, like what desire even is and how when looked at properly and without the filter of the mind that it is actually already here. It already is present. It's real in the consciousness before it shows up in the 3D. So to keep looking to the 3D and saying, it's not showing up yet, I'm failing. It's like, no, that's not, it doesn't matter if it show like I just didn't get any of that before. And now it's like my focus is totally on feeling good, doing the conscious imagining, and Helen makes that even more clear in the one today. That yeah, that if you're feeling good, um, then you're allowing it to come in. And so that's why there's so much emphasis on that. And like I want to go deeper with that because I do want to feel good no matter how much there is that
Yeah.
little ball of contraction that sometimes wants to feel bad. Um,
Same with me. Like When
It's
I
our
first
birthright.
really got into these teachings and started doing contemplation, it was yummy when I was working with a teacher. There was something to it, but it was still kind of a chore. And then all of a sudden, in the past week, it has, I don't know, the body just sat down and wanted to do contemplation.
Yeah.
And it's very different now. Like there, like it's like I said in the group
Yeah.
yesterday, I think it was, it's like
And you read me the
there's there's
contemplations
there's
you wrote down. They were fantastic.
right, it's like it's less about the question anymore. The
Yeah.
question's the doorway, and then something is happening that I just want to do it because I like how it's making me feel. Like there is something to it that it
Exactly.
was like, what? That wasn't happening really
Yeah.
before, not really. And then the same with statement process. Like, man, did I struggle with statement process? Holy moly. Like, I wanted to give up so many times. And if I wasn't with God bless Elaine, because she was my teacher. I've had so many one-on-one sessions with her because I knew I would give it up. I knew
Yeah.
it because I was struggling so hard. It was so hard. And then one day it just started happening. And then
Yeah.
and then I just started sitting down to do it by myself. And then we did it together. And then when we started doing together, it got so much easier. And now I find that I'm just sitting down from time to time doing statement process because it really does feel better. And,
I love
and it's
it.
not hard anymore. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
it.
And which makes me come to like conscious imagining, like even when you say, like, I want to keep doing it, and we agreed, like the last time we talked, that we're going to keep revisiting this and
Yeah.
keep revisiting this. And it's like there's a part of
It's
me that's
gonna
like,
feel
oh my
good. It's
God, it's
gonna
like
feel amazing.
trudging through the mud right now. But because I know I struggle with conscious imagine, not contemplation, and that turned out to be so yummy. And I know that through, statement process was so hard, and then it's turning out to be so yummy that I want to do these things now. I know that even though there's a part of me that goes, oh my God, I wish I could just give it up. I'm not going to because
No.
I know that on the end of, oh my God, it feels like I'm trudging through it right now. I've already been through this with two practices. And at the end of trudging through that, at some point, it is going to feel yummy. And I know
Yeah.
that. So it's like, as much as something is going, oh my God, I just want to like not do this anymore. It's
Well, the
not going to
advice that
happen. It's not.
no. The advice Helen gives today is to like watch a funny movie or dance around to some music you love first before you do conscious imagining, because it really is about feeling good. It really is. Like that is the magic of it is the feeling. It is the feeling good that actually allows the shift, the actual shift to happen in life. Because the shift is happening in your consciousness first, the feeling good and the wanting and not closing. Like I understand, I'm actually understanding more and more like why I have felt so bad so much of the time the last 5 or 6 years. It really has all been about closing off from life. And as much as I didn't like feeling bad, there was a fear of being open. I lived for 45 years, I lived most of my life very open and it was beautiful. But at some point, it just all collapsed and it was like, okay, I can't do that anymore. That sucked.
Yeah.
And I can't do it I can't be that wide open again and have everything fall apart. Um, but that's a story. Like it's just so clear at this point, that the fear is an illusion and all of it, including the part that I lived that I thought I was making the right decisions and things were going well. That's all a story too. And as that all collapses, the more it's like, what is life? Who am I without those stories, as Byron Katie would say? Like, where without that thought, without those thoughts? Like, who am I without that thought? Like, I'm getting more and more curious the answer to that question. Like, who knows what life can be? Like, that's when conscious imagining does get exciting, when it starts to feel real,
Yeah.
that sense of like, yeah, I actually don't know. And that's exciting. It's if I go with the excitement and not with like whatever fears the mind wants to spin, if I really go with that feeling of excitement and I trust that, then yeah, that leads to a life that actually benefits everybody, everybody that crosses your path, because you're living in alignment with the truth, and good things want to happen, beautiful things want to happen. It's
Yeah.
only our own fear that does block it off.
It's
Um,
really funny because you're like, right now, and this is going to sound weird, but things come to me in my mind like cartoons a lot of the time. Trust me, they do. I got like,
I love
I
it.
do have the mind of a child because whenever I have images, they're usually in cartoon form. And I remember when I was doing conscious imagining with Ling Ju, and I didn't even finish that challenge. I think I was like 4 days, 5 days away from, I was behind.
Yeah,
And I just gave up. I just stopped doing it. And there's been many times doing it with you, even though I don't have to figure anything out, that I am still like trudging through it. And I've had some conscious imaginings where they did feel very real, like so real, in fact, that like I was like teary eyed or weepy or whatever because they felt, and I could see them very clearly. But I've had so few of those. I know it's possible because it's happened.
yeah,
But even with her, like, she was like, to me, when I was listening to it, she was like breezing right through it. Like her conscious imaginings were so whatever. And I was so happy for her. And again, there was a little bit of jealousy that came. I was like, man, I wish I could do that more consistently, like she is, right? But there was a little bit of jealousy. And then now that I've picked it up and I'm doing it with you, and I'm seeing where you started, and that this is really starting to flower and blossom for you, like, there's not jealousy anymore.
mm,
Actually, what is happening now is inspiration is coming in.
I
I'm
love
seeing
that.
where you started because I was there with you. And I'm seeing that it's really starting to flower for you. And now I'm just feeling inspired to keep going. There's not jealousy anymore. It's like, oh, I'm really just feeling inspired. And I had this image the other day where you know that saying where they say like somebody is riding on the coattails of somebody else, whatever that saying
Yeah,
actually is. Okay, well, that slammed into the foreground of my experience in my mind's eye, but in a cartoon version of that statement where I heard like riding on the coattails of somebody else. But when I heard that, I saw you flying like Superman. And I saw me like a little kid holding on to your cape for dear life, being dragged along with you, right? This happened really quickly. And I thought, that's actually what it really is. I think that's what that statement actually really means because right now it's hard for me.
mm,
And instead of being jealous of you, I literally have grabbed onto your cape for dear life and I'm letting you pull me along in inspiration, knowing at some point I'm going to be able to let go of your cape. But for right now,
mm.
I need to ride on your coattails because it's going to give me momentum at some point. This happened really quickly in cartoon form, but
I do have a suggestion because I was struggling with it today, and I was really struggling with it in the beginning, and I was wondering if you'd want to like I don't know, we could plan to do this Sunday morning or something maybe, but
Like do it
or maybe
together.
work on this like journaling or something, but like I'm planning on going deeper into desires, like what do I really desire? Um, because I do have a sense that like those desires have to already be there. They have to be coming from the infinite self. But there's something still judging it and wanting to like when it really hit me the one today with like there's something that still feels fear about letting things come in fully, feeling able to actually like, would I even know what to do with a really happy life? You know, like would like with a like what would I want to do, especially now that we've gone into it a little bit and there's a clearer sense. Like when I first started with it and did the desire lists and everything, I feel like there's, you know how the last 3 days Helen has talked about, like, if what you want hasn't come in yet, these are the three reasons. And it's like being too detailed, not believing you're worthy of it. And I don't remember what the third one was, but I just feel like we have been doing this long enough that to focus on that specifically, like, what is act and you were talking about on Sunday how like even with spending the imaginary money that you're focusing on in your challenge, like you weren't actually spending it on yourself. You weren't actually using it to like reshape your like what if you had like unlimited money, like
And
you
now
could,
it's getting to the point, and we're only on day what, 12?
yeah, or
Now,
13 is
now
today.
that I paid everything off and given most of it away,
Yeah.
like I don't even know what to do with it. Like I'm at a blank. Like I'm
Yeah,
like 13,000 or $130,000. I'm really dreading today. Really, I'm probably not even going to do it today, and just because it's late, and just
yeah.
revisit it tomorrow because it's a process trying to figure out that money situation. But I
Right.
literally feel like I've been cock blocked. Because when I looked at that number very briefly this morning, because I was just setting up my page, I didn't have time to do it, but I was just setting up my page. I have no idea what to do with that money now. Like, not even one idea came to my head. Not one. I don't even know
So,
what to do with that. Not one thing.
I mean, I really think it might
Like,
be,
what is up with that? No judgment, but like
yeah.
one
Well,
$130,000, and I can't think of one thing, and I can't.
I mean, I think that's why it might be yeah, I think that both of us have had inhibitions about really taking in fully what it means, like the implications of really having your heart's desire, like really being willing to go there, like really being willing to receive that, to accept that it really is allowed to feel that good. It really is okay to feel like that, to feel like a kid in a candy store, where it's like I can really have all of this, like the world is my playground type of thing. Like there's something that wants to kind of keep that at bay. And I don't think that needs
Yeah.
to be totally unpacked or figured out, but
No,
I think to just,
but it is being seen for sure.
yeah, and to
Because you
just
would
like,
think that I could sit down and write out 50,000 things, and there literally is like tweeting birds. It doesn't matter how long I sit there with it. There are
yeah,
literally I feel like I've hit a wall that I
Yeah.
cannot get past.
Well, I think, when the attention has been for so long on what we don't want and using our energy to try to solve problems and try to fix things and all of that, like that is what it is to feel like a separate person in the world. That's where all the energy goes. And what we're seeing is, okay, that's not true. It's not true. Um,
I
but
think it
like
also
what
has something to do with that survival we were talking about not
exactly,
that
that's what I
long,
mean. Yeah.
because I've wrote down all the things that I would like to do, like things I fantasized about. That was all the giving away, right? I have fantasized about those things. In every instance that I gave money away, those are all legit things I would have loved to have
Yeah.
done. I
Yeah.
fantasize about that. And now that my survival is taken care of, right? Like
Yeah.
I've got like 4 years worth of friggin' bills paid in advance. I've got like
Yeah.
everything's paid off, everything's brand new. So my survival, all the survival stuff has now been taken care of, right?
Right.
I'm still thinking that now that survival and fantasy is taken care of, I don't know what to do with myself, which brings me back to what I said in our last thing of I don't know how not to survive. I feel like this challenge is showing me now that my survival is taken care of. I don't know what to do with myself now. I
Mm,
really don't know. And I think it still plays in, I don't know how not to survive. I feel
mm,
like it's showing me like I really don't know what it feels like not to survive because all of this money thus far was about security and taking
mm.
care of my survival needs.
Yeah.
And um,
Yeah.
now I'm completely blocked.
Um, well, do you remember what Louise said last night about uh she kind of said to try to focus on this next week to like what makes us feel good.
Yeah,
Like,
write a thing
yeah,
that we things we like about ourselves for the next
yeah,
meeting.
yeah, things you like about yourself or things that you enjoy, that you just really enjoy. And she had a message in the WhatsApp group this morning about it too, about it was just like a short list of things that she just like little life things, and it's something that like I want to focus on that more. Like I want to like there's been something that's been like hesitant to do that because there's almost been again like a sense of like once I got on a spiritual path, there was a sense of like, oh, I lived this really frivolous life where I was really focused on, it's almost like you learn about the ego and it's kind of it's seeking for comfort and pleasure and you're like, "Oh, I'm above that now. I'm seeking spiritual truth." And um I don't know, I feel like on some level even and there was that sense of and some things just kind of fell away naturally, but there's a lot of things that like I used to be a pretty driven person, not driven in the sense of material wealth or career stuff, but driven in the sense of like experiencing life. Like I love to travel. I took dancing lessons, like things like that. Like I was like there was a million things I was interested in. I read every book that's ever been written practically. Like I was like so like just hungry for knowledge, hungry for experience. And um I don't know, like and I wasn't like I don't know. I like I moved to different places, like I moved to different cities, just to have I don't know. I just didn't live like a safe life. Um, but the last 5 or 6 years, like all of that changed, and I could see that it needed to change. Like all of that stuff did sort of need to be, it needed to fall away and to go just deeper into myself and to sift the illusion out from the truth and to, there's not a doing in any of this, I realize, but like that was the experience of what I thought at the time was what was happening, or that was how it was interpreted. And now that there's a sense of like, okay, there is no doer, but there are these desires that are arising. And I know that if I can intend for things to happen and feel good while I'm intending for them to happen, that they might not happen exactly that way, and that's not important, but something will happen, seem to
Yeah,
happen, because life wants to give me abundance. So it's like a totally different, like before there was such a strong sense of a doer. Like the reason I was so gung-ho about life was because I felt like that, like I was not allowed to do anything when I was growing up and there was nobody looking out for me. So I'm gonna figure out how to make a life happen
mm,
that is not like other people's lives. Like I'm gonna um I was inspired by poets and artists and people who lived unconventional lives, and I wanted to be like that too. But there was such a strong
yeah,
sense of a doer in that it's not like I was ever deeply satisfied by any of these things, which is what eventually led to being on a spiritual path, because I knew that nobody kept me from going out and trying to get what I wanted. And so for that to happen and for it to still not lead to any kind of lasting happiness, it was like, okay, well then, um, what am I doing wrong type of thing. And so for a time it felt like, well, what I did wrong was I selfishly went out and tried to make a life for myself, and I really should have been meditating all the time, and reading spiritual texts and whatever. And so it's like I don't know, there was a sense of having these, that it was like wrong to have desires, or that it was wrong to dream about life. And of course, there was a lot of disappointment that I was also dealing with from before all of that. I mean, like when I'm describing the going out and trying to make life happen, like a lot of that was when I was younger and before some traumatic things happened that made that feel like more and more scary. I guess what I'm saying is like all of those stories now having kind of fallen away, it's like it just feels like there's like a clean slate now. There's something here still that's saying like, but you shouldn't, there's like a fear of life, I guess, a fear of, there's something that's still thinking in terms of separation in that way. And that's not actually what is true. Like when we have desires, the way that Helen describes it, when we have desires, they're not selfish desires. They're not just about for us, So it's something that would benefit, it could benefit everybody, and we're talking ourselves out of it basically. Like,
yeah,
who knows what gifts you might have, for example, that you can share with the world? Who knows what you just feeling good about your own life, like how that could raise the vibration of everybody around you, So, I guess what I'm saying is that I have noticed this, that there's still a tendency to judge when these desires are coming in and saying like, well, I mean, Helen has talked about doing conscious imagining around riding a dragon. Like there can't be anything wrong with it if she's doing it. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that I feel like I would be willing to allow. It's something I would have done as a kid, and there's
I can attest when I did do that with Ling Ju, the one time when I got really blocked, again, I got really blocked and I went, you know what? I'm done with this shit. I'm just going to completely pretend that I'm this fucking hippie kind of part fairy, part person, hippie flower child that's just spewing, you know, consciousness. And I was winking and pointing, and there was like sparks of flying. That was fun. That was
yes,
really
it was
fun and
fun.
got carried away, right? So I can see I had an easier time doing that, way easier time than thinking up some completely fictional, like riding a dragon, than I can real life.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I should take this money course because I really, really, when you started talking about the doer aspect, I really
Yeah.
feel like this money situation, Louise says it was going to bring some shit up. And she's right, because I really do feel like that statement that was made the other, whatever it was, where I said, I don't know how not to survive.
Yeah.
I also was so entrenched in believing I was a doer that if you look at my list, all the doing has been done now, right? The doing has been done. I've done
Yeah.
everything, and there's no survival anymore because all the survival's been taken care of. So doing's been done and survivor's taken care of. And I've hit a complete wall. I
Yeah.
don't know where to go without a doing, and I don't know where to go without a surviving. I have completely
Mm,
hit a complete wall because all the doing's been done and the surviving is taken care of. So I don't think it's a coincidence that at $130,000, I can't think of one thing. Not
mm,
one. Not
yeah.
one. I can look at that number until I'm blue in the face. So maybe this is my opportunity tomorrow when I do the challenge to maybe just lose touch of reality
Mm,
and just go way out there,
yeah. Or
like
what? Because
riding a
that's the
dragon.
thing. It's
Because
like,
I really, realistically, I don't know where to go in real life with this. I really don't. The doer's done, the surviving's done. I don't know. I don't know what that
yeah.
means. I don't even know where to go from there. I've lived in survival mode since I was 4 years old. I've lived in doer mode since I was 4 years old, taking care of myself, having to do this to protect myself, having to do this, having to do this, having to do this,
Yeah.
next, or I wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
If I wasn't going to do it, nobody else was going to do it. That's been
Yeah.
my mentality my whole life. And now
Exactly.
this challenge has just hit me a wall because, and I verbalized it, the doer that I thought I was is done. And in my challenge, I've done all the doing that I've wanted to do. And I've also taken care of all the survival needs. And now I have nothing. I have nothing. And I don't know where to go from there.
Go to your heart. That's it. That's what I'm gonna do too. That's why I want to start noticing what actually feels good.
I
I
noticed it
want
felt
to,
really, really good that one time I didn't know what to do. And I just went right off the plot and
yeah,
just completely went on a complete imaginary tangent, which was a complete fantasy. And I think I'm glad you brought up the dragon thing because it
yeah,
reminded me of that one session where I did that one
yeah.
thing that was similar. And maybe that's where I should go with the next amount of money. Maybe it shouldn't be real life. Maybe, maybe I will approach it tomorrow. We'll see how it unfolds in a complete fantasy kind of way that has absolutely nothing to do with real life. And maybe that will spark
Yeah, go
some
with
sort
what
of,
feels good. That's what Helen says, actually. When you read it, you'll see. She says you've got to feel good. It's about feeling good. And
because
there's
even
still
trying to figure it out does not feel good. It makes
exactly.
me feel more defeated, actually.
No, and I was feeling defeated today because I had this story resurface of like, well, I don't know how to feel good anymore. If I knew how to feel good, I would have been feeling good all the time, type of thing. The good, it's like the thing is, I do know that I know, but there's something that just doesn't,
There's
there's
something
something
in that
that,
hose pipe still.
yeah, there's something that's not wanting to give permission. There's something that feels like it's like not allowed, not safe, something like that. So I want to like journal about it. And yeah, I just want to start noticing what actually feels good. Um, and to have it be more intuitive in that way, to not have it be like yeah, not the mind judging it, what is spiritual, what is mature, what is realistic, what's practical, like just throw all that out the window. It's like I don't think any of that applies anymore anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think actually finding what feels actually good is the key. Um, it shouldn't feel like a chore, actually. So it can be fun. It's going to be fun. We're gonna find what feels good about using our imagination again, like we are actually children. Children do it without any second thought. It comes totally natural. And that capacity is still here. It is. It hasn't gone anywhere. It just needs to come back online. And Helen says, not to judge ourselves for it because we did have to shut down our desires because we didn't feel like we could get what we wanted. We felt like it was a hostile world that we were living in that wasn't friendly to
It
us.
wasn't safe. It wasn't safe
Yeah.
for me to let my guard down ever. Like ever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ever, ever.
Well,
And
one of the
anytime
things,
I did, I got really, really hurt. Like really
yeah,
bad things
for
happened.
sure.
Bad things. Right?
Yeah.
So even like, even with the challenge, I'm noticing that there's a feeling that everything comes with a cost.
Yeah.
There's
I get that.
there's something attached to everything. So like tonight when I was talking to you about, I do have a very childlike mind, and that when things come to me, and it happens a lot, it's usually in cartoon form, right? So maybe that's just telling me that in this challenge, stop trying to be an adult,
Mm,
trying to come at reality as an adult, and maybe regress back to being a complete and utter child coming from complete and utter imagination,
yeah.
complete fictional. Maybe that is this supposed inner child trying to come out saying, let me
Yeah.
play for once. Let me come
Yeah.
out and play. It's safe for me to come out and play now. Let me
Yeah.
play. It's never been safe my whole life. Now let me come out and play. Let me fantasize. Let me be a
Yeah.
dragon. Let me be this fairy. Let me just be. And maybe that will be the start of creativity coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can tell you that one of the things that I can tell is that like what you were saying just now resonated with me. I've also haven't felt I
Maybe if our child can play for once, just for once,
yeah.
maybe if our
Well, the
child can start
idea of like
playing, it'll be safe for the adult to start playing too.
I just feel like I've been denying like what I've been very isolated the last 5 or 6 years also, like very, very, very isolated. Like all social interaction ceased. It's just not a thing. Celibate, no, no life, like not like nothing. And that happened not by my choice at first. It was like literally I had like 3 or 4 lifelong best friends, not a friend group, but like separate friends from different parts of my life. And like one by one, each friendship completely fell apart. It was just like, oh, okay, I guess we don't. And I just cut everybody out of my life because it was clear that they were not healthy friendships after all. I just like didn't know that when I was younger. I didn't understand that. And then when it became clear, it was just like, okay, well, I guess I don't have any friends now. And and then I lost all interest in dating or anything like that. So I already was pretty solitary for a lot of my life for whatever reason, but it became like extreme. And I know that that's caused my heart to be really closed off, because it was like um it was always a thing in my life. I felt really alone growing up, and then I put a huge amount of I mean, it's all I don't know. There's even been sort of I've just been conscious of that. I've been conscious of my heart being really closed off, and that's been one of the challenges. That's been one of the challenges even with meditation, is like I don't know how to open myself to this cloud of unknowing when I don't trust anybody. Now that has changed as it's become clearer and clearer of like, okay, there are no actual separate people, and there's nothing separate, so there's nothing to actually be afraid of. And so there's been a wanting to be more open, but I can tell that that's one of the things that like scares me when I do the conscious imagining. And it might feel good when I'm imagining it, but then there is sort of a sense of like, I don't know how I would actually do this because anything that actually feels good in that way, like involves, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
Oh,
like,
you are.
I feel like one of the things that I would want most, one of the desires that most wants to like come into reality is having a life that's just full of friends and relationships. And like I don't want to live a solitary life anymore. I want like even my work is totally solitary. I just sit, I don't even talk to anyone on the phone. It's like I like
But that's already starting to unfold, Ellie. That really is all already starting to flower. Look Look, when
yes.
you go to Sangas, you're on camera
Yeah.
now. You're showing yourself. You're showing
Yeah.
up and showing yourself on camera instead of hiding behind the camera being off. You're
Yeah.
coming forth. Look at when you're in group now. You've joined Louisa's group. You've been there
Yeah,
several
it
times.
is.
Now you're sharing. People
Yes.
are responding to you. You're
Yeah,
making
and
friends. Look at us. We meet
I
twice a
know
week.
I know. And
It's
so
already unfolding.
this is what I'm saying. I know that it's already unfolding. It's already unfolding when I haven't even been like completely
Mhm.
honest about it or completely allowing it to now something that is
But
not
you are
unfold.
being honest about it because you're seeing it. Even
Yes.
if you're not verbalizing, you're seeing it. So you are
Okay.
being honest about it.
I'm not being honest about what I would most want, which would be to have an actual relationship. What I would actually want would be to have a home with someone, to have an actual home and family with a partner. Like that is
How do
something that
you know that this isn't the start of that?
no, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying that that's what I'm trying to art say it out loud though, because
Mhm.
I have not even been honest with myself about that
Gotcha.
part of it. Like it's felt so unattainable. I've made excuses for like, well, I don't actually need that. Like I'm happy on my own, or I would be look at like I'm starting to have friends, again, and that would be enough. And like there's a wanting to like suppress that desire. And I just want to like acknowledge it because I can tell that that's affecting the conscious imagining because as long as there's any kind of judgment there about what I'm allowed to imagine for myself, it's like
Right.
there's not someone here choosing that. It's already here because that's what wants to flow through this life and there's nobody here to judge it or to stop it or to whatever, but like there's like an energetic pathway there. There's a habit of not allowing myself to have that because it's been an area that's been I mean it's been the biggest disappointment of my life. I have not had successful relationships. I haven't had success. I've never been married. I've never um had even a really long-term relationship, it's been really, really difficult to feel safe with someone in that way because men especially haven't felt safe. Um, so it's like to even allow that in, it's like, it hasn't felt safe, but I can tell that that needs to be.
The desire there.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally undeniable. Like, I'm a total romantic, even though I haven't experienced it. Like, I love love. I love
Have you
seeing other
ever tried
people
to
in
turn
love.
your conscious imagining? Okay, you're a great writer. We already know this. And you just said that you're a romantic. Have you ever thought about, okay, approaching your conscious imagining from a fictional aspect that, fictionally you already have this. You already have a spouse that you've been married to for
Yeah,
a while. You already have children. You like fictionally, right? Like, but it is already done and it already has been done for some time. And take your romantic situation that you like, right? Because you're a romantic person, and kind of create a romantic fictional story around yourself
I
and
have
and
thought
add
about
some elements to it. I don't know, maybe you're a vampire. I don't know,
it.
right?
That's
And
fun.
and you have your Lucy. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but kind of give it like a flavor that isn't real. So kind of
Yeah.
like
I
I
mean,
just said,
I've
like a
thought about it. Like, I've thought about, like, why don't I just start writing more? Because it is fun. Like, when I read what Helen said today about, like, it should feel good. And I'm like, it feels like it would feel good to write a story like that. And um,
no, like a little mini story. Make it smutty if you have to. Who cares? Maybe it's a smut novel. It's just me who's gonna hear it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
I
Like,
just spilled my water. Sorry.
it's okay. You know what I mean? Maybe just approach it from that angle.
Yeah, My phone's there too. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe give yourself a fake name. Maybe you're not Ellie at the moment. Maybe you're, I don't know, Charlotte from wherever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Charlotte from Tuscany. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like I mean this might be something I just do in my own journal or whatever, but I do
right?
want to just start imagining who I would see myself with, what it would, how we would be together, like, that kind of thing. I want to like give myself permission to do that instead of feeling like it's something that can't happen for me,
Mm.
and to kind of talk myself out of wanting it because it's becoming clear that that doesn't work. Like it's a way of not allowing something to come in that wants to come in, and yeah, even when it comes to like friendships and work, like I know I'd like to do work that involves actually interacting with people as opposed to just sitting by myself all day. There was a time that I really enjoyed that, but has felt for a long time like that hasn't been what the heart actually wants anymore. And now that that's becoming even more clear that there's no reason to actually be afraid of other people because they were just reflections of me. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I just want to go like deeper into that. Like, how different can life look when there's no fear of other people? Like, I feel like I would spend a lot more time actually interacting with other people and having that. I mean, I started to do that. That's why it felt good in the beginning when I was doing the conscious imagining. That happened naturally. I was like, oh, I'm going to start going to these yoga classes and doing um, all of that did feel really good. But I want to kind of go deeper into it. Anyway, yeah.
I
I
think I
want
want
to
to let my
like,
inner child out.
yeah,
I really do. I think she has been stifled her whole life. I can see,
yeah,
after you said what you said tonight, I can see. It's like, I can really actually see it. I've
yeah,
never, ever been able to even really be a child without having walls and guards up because it wasn't safe.
yeah,
I had to always be on guard. Even when I was a child, I had to be on guard. Maybe, maybe that's exactly what is being called forth right now, to just let her loose.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
if I let her loose, then the adult version of her will be able to let go. But
yeah.
maybe the adult version of her can't let go right now because she hasn't been set free.
Mm, yeah.
That really came
Well,
forth after you said what you said tonight.
yeah,
And maybe that's why that one conscious imagining did feel really good because it had
yeah,
nothing to do with reality and
yeah,
everything to do with a little girl's imagination. And it felt really good.
yeah. I love that. And I mean, I don't know. I
And
think
I love fantasy movies. They're my favorite kind of movies. I love
I do
anything
too.
fantasy. So
Yeah, I
maybe
do
it's time to
too.
create my own fantasy coming from a child's view right now.
Yeah, because there's a reason those fantasies are so enjoyable. There's a reason they feel so good. Like, I mean, I grew up with the idea that was the worst possible thing because it's not real. Like my father would literally say that. He would be like, I love Star Trek. I think you do too.
Oh, I
And
love Star Trek.
yeah, and I remember my dad specifically saying like, "Why do you like that? It's not real." He said it in the most contemptuous way, and he was like that about everything. And it was like, And then that combined with the way the church was that I grew up with, the idea of loving anything that like wasn't in the Bible, it was like a sin, you know? It was like the idea of fantasizing anything that wasn't like, biblical. It's like you're just making things up, like that's of the devil, you know? It's like, but I love that. I love all of it. I love Harry Potter. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love comic
Yep.
books. I love Spider-Man. I love all of that. Like those are the things that I actually can say like, oh, that feels good. It's like I love anything that comes from the imagination, you know? But there's been something that's kind of like died inside over the past several years
Yep.
that um that has been the response to that, like not feeling safe to go there, and life kind of got smaller and smaller, um and now there's like this permission to like let it let it out again. Yeah, let it set it free like you were saying.
You just set her
And
free. Just set her free.
yeah,
Let her run rampant for the first
yeah,
time in her life. Just set her free and let her run rampant and paint whatever picture she wants to paint.
yes,
Maybe it
yes, I
has
love
nothing to
that.
do with the grown-up Tanya.
Yeah, color outside the lines.
Yeah, don't be controlled, restricted. Doesn't matter if it's real, not real.
I mean, it is
Just
real because
just
it's
go.
how you feel, how it makes you feel. That is real. That vibration is real. That's the thing, and it will actually show up in your life in some form. That feeling will.
And I really do believe, I can honestly say, like, I don't care how weird this sounds, but I really do not think fictional movies are fiction.
No,
I
that's what I'm
think
saying.
that fictional movies come to people in this realm from other realms. I
Yeah.
believe in fairies. I believe in unicorns. I believe in gnomes. Those things have been seen in this life by actual, not crazy people on the spiritual path. They have
Oh
synced
yeah.
into other realms. You know what I mean?
Patanjali talks about fairies.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in all these things. Maybe that's why I like fantasy movies because I know on some level those
Yeah.
things really are real. You know what I mean? I like witches and vampires are my number one favorite, by the way. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that there's something to this. I think that that is what is being called forth to just set her free and let her
Yeah.
paint her own world
Yeah.
for once.
Yes.
And maybe that
Well,
will set this adult version of her free.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
am a big
Well,
kid. Like if you met me in person, like I really
I
am.
love
I
it.
have the cartoon thoughts, but I also like do things that you wouldn't see like a 51-year-old woman doing. Like I sit like a kid sometimes, like a
Oh,
little
so do
kid.
I.
I
Yeah.
jump in puddles.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If it's raining and there's puddles, I can't I can't
No, one of the
not
things,
pop around in them, even at work, like at my job. Like
no,
the greenhouse leaks and puddles form everywhere. And on my breaks, you'll see me, my coworkers laugh at me. I'm standing in
yeah.
the puddle and I'm like,
No,
you
I
know,
totally get it. Like
maybe it's just let her free. Just let her
one of
free.
the main reasons I want to have a relationship and a home with somebody else is because I want to have someone I can like have fun with all the time, just goof around and be silly with all the time.
Yeah.
Because that it's not so I can have like a mature, it's not so I can have like responsibilities and stuff. Like I have no desire for any of that. I never have had any desire to be a
No, me
responsible
neither. I'm
adult.
so not.
I
I'm
mean,
50. I'm 51 and I'm more. I'm more, I, I've never grown up really. I never will grow
No.
up. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up. Yeah,
No,
no, really. I
and when I conscious imagine like a job that like having money coming and doing something other than what I'm doing now, like one of the reasons is because I want to do something more fun. I want to get paid to do something that doesn't feel like work, you know? Um, I don't want to have to work. I've never wanted to have to work. Like, to me, that feels like a total drag. Like, I don't think it's what life is about, you know?
no.
Like, I feel like everybody is way too serious. And I say that as somebody who has been way too serious the past several years because I got weighed down with all of that stuff too, you know? All of that stuff caught up with me, all of the like traumas and stuff, and having to like process it and everything. But it does feel like coming from on the other side of that now and realizing like, yeah, maybe life really is about having fun. Like there are spiritual teachers, including our own, who actually say that, you know,
Yep.
and you know that they're coming from a pure place, that it's not actually about being irresponsible or in denial about the suffering that people are going through or anything like that, but it's about actually holding this life lightly, realizing that it's not the whole story, that it's not what the mind says it is, that it's not it's the mind that takes itself so seriously. When the ego dissolves, it's like, I mean, this whole thing is a game. It's a play. It's it's God just playing with appearances. It's the universe just making shapes out of Play-Doh for to see what it'll look like. To just we're playing at being separate people until we figure out that we're not separate people, and then we get to play at not being separate people, you know? Like yeah, I think it is about that sense of seriousness dissolving. Like when the ego dissolves, that sense of seriousness has to dissolve because that's where it's coming from. Um, Conscious imagining is supposed to be fun because it's the infinite self imagining what life can be and knowing
And
that it
it's not.
actually will show up.
It really
Not
isn't fun
necessarily.
at the moment. It's
Yeah, I know.
dreadful.
I get it.
It's painful. You know, when you were saying that, all I could think about was having little Tanya standing in a black room, so nothing whatsoever, with my spirit self,
Mm,
like in the never ending story at the very end with Sebastian and the whoever she was, I can't remember. She's all in white, the other kid. And they're standing in the darkness because Fantasia has been completely destroyed.
yeah.
And she has this little tiny light. It's very like a
Yeah.
sand.
I
And
remember
she's
that.
holding it and she gives it to him. And he holds it and he looks at it and he goes, "Wow." And he goes, "What is that?" And she goes, "That's all that's left of Fantasia." And he goes, "That's it? That's all that's left?" And she goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "It's all gone?" And she goes, "Yes." And then he goes, "What do I do with it?" And she goes, "You make a wish." And he goes, "For what?" Like, "What kind of wish?" And she goes, "Whatever you want." And then all of a sudden, you see him bringing back the world and everybody alive, and he's flying in the real world on Falkor.
That's right. Yeah,
Maybe
I
right
forgot about
now,
that.
maybe tomorrow, that's what my conscious imagining should be. Maybe
Mm,
that little tiny light will be my spirit self
Yes, I
that I've
love
seen
this.
so many times standing in a dark place with me, giving the little Tanny that little piece of light and saying, there's nothing here. There's no thing here. That's all that's left. Now make a wish. Turn this world into what you want it to be and let little Tanny loose.
Yes,
See what that little
yes,
tiny piece of speck of sand
yes.
turns into.
Yeah.
Except for
I
in
feel
this
now,
case, it's
see,
little Tanny with $130,000.
see
Now,
now
what's
you've
that
been
little girl gonna do with it?
now you're inspiring me. So the tables are have turned.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
see, that all started because you mentioned her talking about a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I
I'm
needed that conversation. I'm glad we didn't end it early because I really needed
yeah,
you to
I
say
needed
that.
it too. You'll hear my when you hear my conscious imagining for today, you'll see I needed it too because I had nowhere to go today either. So, I think this needed to be unpacked, you know.
Clearly, it just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it must be right.
Now I am feeling inspired.
Yay, me too. I can't
Yeah,
even tell you how
there
much
is there is a
more
part of me that is
inspired I
actually
feel.
looking forward to tomorrow.
I love it. That's beautiful. So am I. And I was feeling very uninspired today, but yeah, awesome. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much as always.
Oh, you're welcome, Allie. Thank you. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
we're meeting in the middle of the week. This has been,
Oh, me too.
I don't even know, this has changed everything.
Yes.
The Sundays and Wednesdays, that is just
Yeah.
changing everything, like everything.
Yes. And it is fun and it does feel good, even though it's like so deeply spiritual, you know? That's the thing. It's like it's so real. It's like it raises my vibration every time, you know,
Yeah.
and I was so scared to be this close to somebody again and to show up this authentically with someone again. Even in the beginning when I first met you, I was just like, I'm not so sure about this, not because of anything about you, but because there was just so much fear and inhibition here. And I'm just so
And you
grateful.
really are starting to bloom. I'm watching it unfold in front of me. You
Yeah, I
really, really
appreciate
are
that.
starting to bloom.
And so are you. I'm seeing it too. I'm seing it's a reflection. It's the same. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you.
Nighty
And
night.
good night. Love
Okay,
ya.
love you, Ellie.
Bye.